Kusile and Matla power stations between 2021 and 2023, SIU spokesperson Selby Mahoto says officials allegedly approved inflated purchase orders for equipment critical to power station operations.
Instead of delivering reliable service, Nkosi's companies delivered invoices. Escom officials signed off on contracts that priced relays at 50,000 rand each, when the market price was between 180 rands and 450 rands. This manipulation resulted in a direct financial loss of 73.6 million rands to Escom.
Disgraced Police Commissioner Fannie Masemola has promised to continue cracking down on crime identified in testimony from the Madlanga Commission. Masemola made his first appearance in the Pretoria Magistrates Court as an accused today. He has been charged for contravening the Public Finance Management Act in the irregular awarding of the multi-million rand Medicare 24 tender. Masemola will join Vusimuzi Cat Matlala and 12 police officers in the dock, all accused of fraud and corruption. Speaking to journalists after his appearance today, Masemola responded to questions of whether or not his arrest is as a result of the arrests being made by the so-called Madlanga task team.
We have not yet finished. We are just starting. There is still a lot that we are going to expose. A lot of work around organized crime is going to be done. So, yeah.
Tshwane's suspended Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi has been accused of using his position to cancel a tender at the municipality on behalf of a notorious taxi boss. Mnisi, who is also the chairperson of the city's bid adjudication committee, has been grilled over that decision to cancel a 2024 security tender. The tender was initially meant to be a replacement for a previous security tender for the guarding of critical municipal infrastructure. Thabiso Goba reports.
WhatsApp chats before the Madlanga Commission show in March last year Sergeant Fannie Nkosi was in possession of a confidential bid evaluation committee document relating to the security tender. Nkosi sent that document to someone he only identified as Mampane and as the right-hand man of the late taxi boss Jonathan Mswazi Msibi. Mampane responded to Nkosi by saying, quote, "Puti, please let him say no to that appointment." Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says this then triggered a chain of events leading to the tender being cancelled by the bid adjudication committee, which was chaired by Gareth Mnisi.
You see, Mr. Mnisi, what I want to put to you is that if we look at these 3 bullet points, none of them justify a decision to cancel.
However, Mnisi disagrees.
I had indicated clearly that the probity report is a critical document that was considered by the BAC in terms of cancelling that. And I further disagree with the notion that I had any knowledge of whatever discussions were occurring between Mr. Mampane or Sergeant Nkosi.
The cancellation of the tender meant the Tshwane municipality was forced to extend the expiry date of the current one that's been in place since 2022. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
A Johannesburg man arrested over a deadly road rage shooting in Emmarentia at the weekend has been released from custody. It follows a decision by the NPA not to prosecute the matter pending further investigations. The 58-year-old was arrested on possible charges of murder and attempted murder following the weekend incident. The shooting was sparked by an argument over a minor crash and it escalated into a physical altercation between the 2 male drivers. It's alleged that the wife of the deceased driver retrieved a firearm from their vehicle and the other driver then fired his gun. NPA spokesperson Magaboke Motlatole says the charges may be reinstated in future.
The NPA has decided not to prosecute or proceed with the case pending further investigations. So the matter will be placed at some later stage when we feel satisfied with the evidence that we have.
And in Taiwan, President Lai Ching-te has announced a decision to postpone an official trip to Eswatini. His office says that decision was taken after several countries revoked overflight permits. The permits are official authorization from a country's civil aviation authority, allowing an aircraft to fly through its airspace without landing. Taiwan claims the countries revoked the permits following pressure from Chinese authorities. Lai was due to visit Eswatini this week for the 40th anniversary of King Mswati III's ascension and his 58th birthday. Gold is trading at $4,786.16 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 22.10 to the pound, 19.25 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.84 a barrel.
A very good afternoon. If you're in Crown and traveling south, expect heavy traffic from China Mall up until you reach Langlaagte DLTC. It's causing delays of about 6 minutes or so. Over in Bedford View, roadworks are slowing down traffic on Van Buren Road between Douglas Road and Healy Road. Rather use Kloof Road as an alternative.
And in your sport, West Ham lose vice chair Karen Brady in the midst of their Premier League relegation fights, while Wolves have dropped down to the Championship after their relegation was confirmed last night. The Junior Springboks lose a key member of the World Champion squad ahead of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. And IPL for the day has the Sunrisers Hyderabad against the Delhi Capitals.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thunderstorms expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN, the SIU has frozen assets worth over 76 million rand linked to procurement fraud at Escom.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 21st of April. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, wherever you are listening to us in 702 land. Welcome to the show. On Sunday in Johannesburg, guns drawn and fired. One person dead and another critically injured.
I saw him, he shot them. He shot them dead. He shot them both dead. This guy, he shot them both dead. This guy. He shot both this lady and this man. He shot them dead. He shot them dead. This guy. In front of the children.
And yet, in the aftermath of Sunday's shooting in Emmarentia, the National Prosecuting Authority has decided that it has insufficient evidence to proceed with the prosecution. More on this story throughout the show. Also in the news, the Madlanga Commission and the National Police Commissioner, both in the news for differing reasons, although there is, of course, a connection. The National Police Commissioner appearing in court today charges under the Public Finance Management Act, but related to a matter that was canvassed at the Commission, and then, of course, the dealings at the Madlanga Commission itself. All of that extensively covered over the next couple of hours. Completely different kind of story. This Formula One Grand Prix season has already produced historic moments.
Here comes the history boy, the second youngest driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli wins. A fantastic way to open his account. Antonelli wins the Chinese Grand Prix.
Yes, Kimi. Come on, my son. Yes! Yes, man! We did it, man! Well done there, mate. First race win. This is one you're going to remember forever, though.
And in the midst of all the history, though, and the excitement, there's been heated debate over the regulations introduced this year, and that in turn has just led to another round of changes. So what's been changed and why? Crucially, what difference will that make? More on that at 10 to 5 with analyst Sudhir Matai. And if you like a bit of nostalgia with your live music, these guys are coming to South Africa next month. The Human League in May. Brian Adams at the age of 66 opening in Cape Town tonight and moving up to Gauteng a little bit later. Some rockers continue performing well into their 60s and 70s. Some of them go on into their 80s. I'm interested to know, which artists did you see in their golden years who absolutely did not disappoint? They had all the fire of their youth and perhaps more added on by the many layers and decades of performance after performance. We'll talk about that at 20 to 6. On the markets, the JSE is down again today, the all share off by 650 points. Resources are struggling again, especially gold stocks, with the price of that metal down by $27 today. Pan-African Resources has lost 2.9%. Goldfields down by 2.4%. Alphaman has lost 3.5%. Karoo is down by 4.5%. Some modest gains for a few stocks. SPAR is up by 1.7%. Bidcorp up by 1.6%. The rand slightly weaker, but not much in it really. A couple of cents really. You could use one hand to count them. 16 rand 38 against the dollar at the moment. That's a 4-cent move. The euro will cost you 19 rand and 26 cents. 22 rand and 14 will get you a pound. The oil price, there we go again, currently going for $95.23 a barrel. Stephen Critters joining us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll get sport with Anthony Teixeira. You heard him a moment ago. Mbali Dlamini has the latest news headlines, and Mongezi Koko will keep you updated on the traffic on a day when storms are expected. I don't know if they've hit your part of Gauteng yet, or perhaps you're in another part of the country where we're expecting or getting storms already. You may want to drop us a note. Every time I see those warnings, I sort of wonder, well, how bad will this storm be? If you already have an inkling, we'd like to hear from you. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear it here first. But just as I said in regard to those oncoming storms, if there's something else that you know about, something you've seen, something you have insight into, contact us on 072 702 1702 or give us a ring on 011 883 0702. 702 Drive, it's 14 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we will bring you as much as we can about all the big stories that we know about, bring you the news when it happens to break, if it does break, in the time when we're on air with you. And then, of course, there are those other things that occupy our minds, not about the big things in life, but some of the smaller things that can actually turn out to be quite big. We were chatting a little bit earlier about parents and moments when parents with absolutely no intention to do this, nevertheless, ended up embarrassing you. When did your parents embarrass you? And crucially, what did they do? And here's a question for you as well. Now that you are either parents or in loco in some way, because you're looking after young people in your life, when have you embarrassed them? Despite everything you ought to know about it from your own childhood, hey, we are born and doomed to repeat, I suspect. Jonathan Fairbairn, a very good afternoon to you. Parents ever embarrass you?
Yeah, just thinking, I think there's a stage with teenagers where anything, a parent
that's
can
very
do
well
anything,
observed.
and
Yes,
it's like,
yes.
no, don't do that, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
Must be difficult to parent that, I must say. But if I think back, it would probably be maybe at the beginning of playing football. My mom would, she wasn't one of those parents who would just sit on the stands.
Yes.
She would be on the sidelines, and then she would run up and down the sidelines.
Okay.
And full of encouragement, like, go my boy, come on, like really lovely embarrassment. Lovely cheering. And it embarrassed me at the beginning, and I was like, oh no, come on, why are you doing this? And then I got used to it, and it was like, okay, if she wasn't there, then
You'd
what's
notice,
going
okay.
on, right? And then years later, when I run into people that I haven't seen from school days,
Yes.
and they're like, how's your mom?
Yes,
I still have fond memories of her running up and down the sidelines, So what started off as a big embarrassment turned out to be one of the greatest memories and, great treasures, I suppose.
Fabulous. I suppose that is part of moving through life. She never, by the way, said, if somebody like really got stuck into you with a tackle and say, "Hey, leave my boy."
Yeah, she ran on the field once.
Oh my goodness!
Joking.
Because I was going to say we're getting into embarrassing territory here. Mongezi Koko, embarrassing adults in your life, parents, uncles, aunts, grandmothers?
You know, I've got two. So I've been very close to my mother. It was just me and my mom for a very long time. And I think I was 11 at the time.
Yes.
And we were at a parents-teacher something meeting. And a number of the parents were just sitting and talking. And they were talking about attachment. And I used to sleep in the same bed as my mother up until I think until I turned 12.
Okay.
So I was 11 at the time. And then she announced this in front of everyone. And everyone made it seem like it's a bad thing. And I thought it was good at the time. I thought it was still bonding. So that was pretty embarrassing for me. And then at church, I had a Sunday school teacher who I was very close to. Her name was Charlene Leroux, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And very, very close. And it was the evening service. I'll never forget this. I think I was around about 9 at the time. And I sat on her lap, right? Because it was cold and she was carrying me. And I think I accidentally called her mom.
Yes.
And then she brought this up the following weekend. During the Sunday school service, and that was pretty embarrassing to me. But then she was just saying, you can build relationships with everyone else. It was eventually a lesson that I look back on and say, you can cultivate a family, whether it's in a religious group such as church, etc. So now that I look back at it, it's not that bad. But from time to time, I think about how I called my teacher mom.
Yeah, I will share extreme embarrassment with you a little bit later, but in the meanwhile, I'm very keen to get yours on 011 883 0702. And by the way, if you are repeating the cycle of embarrassing the young people in your lives, don't worry, you can admit it to us. We will not judge. 18 minutes past 3, you get us for that or anything else on 072 702 1702. But at 18 minutes past 3, particularly with bad weather approaching, some of you maybe leaving work a little bit earlier, or just, bringing whatever it is that you're doing, driving wise, a little bit forward. The roads, Mongezi, probably quite busy already.
That's right, Ndate John. Actually, piggybacking off of what you just said, the South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 4 warning for severe thunderstorms in Gauteng. So please drive carefully, keep a safe following distance, and if at all foggy, make sure your headlights are on. We are going to start in Windsor West in Randburg. Expect heavy traffic on Bears Nadir Drive. Now that's traveling north towards the N1 highway. On the West Rand in Strubens Valley, there is bumper-to-bumper traffic on Hendrik Potgieter Road from Christian de Wet Road until you reach the Kruger Rand Road. This is owed to a faulty traffic light coupled with peak time travel and, of course, fear of inclement weather. On the M1 South and North, traffic is building up in both directions between Sandton and Braamfontein. That aside, we've got a number of traffic lights that are out in 4 ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino, in North Riding at Malibongwe and Mahogany, and in Harton at Harton Drive and Joe Slovo Drive. If there's anything that I've missed or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 072 702 1702.
Clement Matlala.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
There has been a lot of debate this week about that road rage incident in Emerentia that ended in tragedy on Sunday. If you have not seen that, well, I wouldn't advise you to even go see the video. It's just so tragic. But under what circumstances is it justifiable to take out a gun? What is your threshold if you own a gun? What is your threshold? What are the guardrails that you've put in place? Because we are all reasonable people until we're not. You probably think you would never find yourself in a situation where you get so upset or so betrayed or so sad that you feel the need to take out a gun and target somebody else. You may not think so in the moment until that moment arrives. Hence, the question about the guardrails.
Clement Matlala.
9 to 12 on 702.
You may or may not know the difference between gelato and ice cream, but you do know a great OUTsurance deal when you see one. Get a car insurance quote now, and if OUTsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get savings or cash. SMS OUT to 45142. That's OUT to 45142. OUTsurance, licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's, and information online.
Bar Black Sheep. Have you any wool? Yes, sir. More than 3 bags full. We think beyond today, tomorrow, more. Look up, look far ahead. We may choose to leave the herd, there's greener grass where fewer care to tread. Bar Black Sheep, proof of what we do. Better for clients for over 20 years. Courage, we hold the course for you. Bar Black Sheep, if you want more wool, it takes black sheep thinking. Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP.
Being in construction has taught me that buying machinery doesn't come cheap. Loaders, excavators, graders, they're the heartbeat of the job site. Now, thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I save up to 20% in my insurance premiums every month. This saving helps keep my machines working and projects moving.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your yellow metal machinery. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
Running a small business is not just about having a great idea, it's about having the right tools to grow it. That's exactly where MTN Business comes in. Beyond the 702 MTN Small Business Awards, they're doing a lot more to help SMEs succeed. Tomorrow on 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, we'll be in conversation with MTN Business, unpacking how their integrated digital services and cloud solutions help SMEs simplify operations and drive real progress. Tune in and find out how they can help take your business further too. MTN Business, let's talk shop on 702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, I mentioned earlier there's really been a lot going on in and around the courts today. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues. I'm just looking up now at the screens. It's very, very clear that this is going to be a long one for suspended Swane CFO Gareth Mnisi, being questioned both by the commissioners but also by evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson. Will give you an update on that at 5:10. Developments with the Special Investigating Unit, Escom executive or former Siyabonga Nkosi, the subject of their focus, 17 properties worth nearly 77 million rand and 7 luxury cars have actually been seized. Of course, those things take a while to play out, and court processes need to follow as well. And then today, the appearance in court of General Fannie Masemola, the National Police Commissioner. Short appearance, but a lot said, and certainly a lot going on around that court appearance. Let's get the latest now with our colleague Khumotso Modise, who was there. Khumotso, very good afternoon to you. I mean, obviously, we'll talk in a moment about exactly what the court said, what the NPA said, but focus on the National Police Commissioner briefly, if you will. I mean, people generally put a brave face on things and say, well, I haven't done anything wrong, and the justice system, etc., will prove this, and on they tend to go. But what was your sense of the man?
Well, that's exactly what the National Police Commissioner has done. Good afternoon, John. We saw him sitting in the dock. His matter was heard among the first matters in the Pretoria Magistrates Court. And I think that it was intentional because they were expecting, quite a number of people to attend. There were systems in place in court, to almost, just cushion what we may have seen an overflowing courtroom. But that wasn't the case today. And yes, the National Police Commissioner sat in the dock, and then he stood in the dock and he answered the questions that he was asked to confirm the information that we usually see on the first court appearance. You'll know that in the first court appearance, you would have to, confirm your legal representatives, and then the court would then find out from you if you have been briefed on what your lawyers are saying in court. And that's exactly what happened today. Now, even after the appearance, when he walked out of the dock, he was then met by a crowd of media colleagues who then started asking him questions about these charges. Right. And again, he kept on maintaining his innocence. And not only has he said that he's innocent and, essentially there's no case here, but he's also spoken about a reason why. And he says that's because when he realized what was going on, he pulled the plug on this Medicare 24 contract, which was really at the heart of this, John, because the question is, why is Fannie Masemola being charged for the contravention of the PFMA if he did, in fact, cancel the tender? Now, what the NPA is alleging alleging, and I've read the charge sheet,
Yes.
is that he was somehow involved. That's the terms that they're using here. They say contravening the PFMA, and then they speak about him being involved in the unlawful procurement of the services advertised. And I think that's the case that the state will have to prove now.
Has anything changed? Because when he was first arrested and all of this started moving through the criminal justice system, the front and center in everything was that he had contravened the PFMA.
Yeah.
But it was made very, very clear, both on his side from his lawyers, and I think indeed from the National Police Commissioner himself, and also by the NPA, saying he has not been charged with corruption. Is that still the case? Because what you've just read to us suggests not necessarily a degree of negligence, which is what the PFMA charge seems to suggest, but it suggests complicity.
Yes.
Which, but perhaps I'm overstating it. But share your thoughts on what you heard.
You see, John, that's why, how things are detailed in the charge sheet is so important. Because when I read count 3, it speaks about him failing to ensure that the Medicare 24 Tshwane district was properly screened and tax compliant regarding this bid. So, it does speak to an element of negligence, but also when the charge sheet uses words like involved, I think then it moves just beyond the negligence. And I don't know at this stage, because the charge sheet doesn't say, I don't know at this stage if the state is going to be proving or trying to prove that he somehow benefited. I don't think that's what's being implied here, particularly because if that was the case, I believe then he would be charged with corruption.
Yes.
But the charge here is really around the PFMA. And I think the main thing that he's been charged for is that what happened with the awarding of the PFMA under his watch and whether there was negligence there. And maybe a step further is, could he have done something to prevent this from happening? We know that the state lost more than 200 million rand for this tender, a tender that was valued at 360 million rand.
There's a lot to come out still on this particular matter, but thank you, Khomotso Modise, keeping an eye on it today, and I'm sure keeping an eye on it going forward. Just let me correct something I said a little bit earlier in referring to Siyabonga Nkosi, who's had assets frozen valued at 76.5 million rand. I described him as a former Escom executive. That's incorrect. He is, in fact, a businessman who did business with Escom. So just wanted to clarify that. 28 minutes past 3.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The ceasefire with Iran will end tomorrow evening, Washington time, saying it's highly unlikely that it would extend it if a deal is not reached before then. And at the moment, we know that Vice President J.D. Vance and top U.S. officials, they're departing for Islamabad in Pakistan. We're not sure whether Iran is going to come to the party, though.
Definitely not sure, especially since the Iranians have said they're not unless the blockade of the ports and shipping is lifted. Do you detect a slight note of panic in the Trump announcements? I do.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that really does bring us all together. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babi Zebonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702 and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babi Zebonke. More on primediaplus.com.
No one gets fit overnight. It takes discipline, and your money is no different. A Nedbank 32-day notice account helps you build financial strength with up to 7.3% interest and zero maintenance fees. The higher the deposit, the higher the return. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. For more information, go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Evolution doesn't wait. Introducing the Changan Uni S. Unexpected, unmistakable, uncompromising. Engineered to a higher standard, unlike anything in its class. Unsurprising, really, from China's oldest automaker. Trusted by 30 million drivers worldwide. Visit chang'anmotors.co.za for more. The Chang'an Uni S.
Chang'an, driven to evolve.
What does real financial success look like when it's shared? Catch 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, in conversation with PPS this Thursday, discussing their record 2025 profit share. The Professional Providence Society has allocated an impressive 6.88 billion rand in profit share to its members, a significant step up from the year before. Find out how PPS continues to put graduate professionals at the center of everything they do. That's 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, in conversation with PPS this Thursday, only on 702. PPS is a licensed life insurer, controlling company, and authorized FSP. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news with Mbali Dlamini. Some important news coming out regarding SAA. What's up?
Well, John, a very good afternoon. South African Airways has been hit with yet another disclaimer by the Auditor General as the airline's financial woes persist. While some of the SAA Group's subsidiaries improved to qualified audits, the airline has received the worst possible audit outcome despite making a slight profit from selling its Heathrow Airport slot. The airline and members of its board appeared before Parliament's Transport Portfolio Committee today to present its audit findings and annual report for the 2024-2025 financial year. Babalondenze has more.
South African Airways was back before Parliament to present its latest financials. The Auditor General also gave its own presentation on its audit findings of SAA and some of its subsidiaries that managed to submit their financial statements on time. Tato Kunene, Senior Audit Manager at the Auditor General, says there doesn't seem to be any improvement within the SAA Group.
We have noted that the audit outcome remains stagnant with two entities, SA Technical and also SAA, disclaimed audit.
Transport Minister Barbara Creasy says it's unacceptable that the poor audits continue.
And we are publicly accountable for our actions, and it is beyond unacceptable to have repeat disclaimers.
But SAA and members of the committee noted how SAA's catering subsidiary Air Chefs has improved in its performance and its audit outcomes. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
The Mthatha High Court sitting in Lusikisiki has heard more evidence about the alleged assault of 3 of the 6 men linked to the Lusikisiki mass murder in the Eastern Cape. Accused number 4, Bonga Hintsa, has been testifying in the trial within a trial today. Hintsa was nabbed in Port Shepstone in KZN in October 2024, just weeks following the mass murder. He alleges a number of discrepancies with how he was arrested. Ndlanhla Mabaso reports.
Bonga Hintsa has testified that he was arrested by police officers based in KwaZulu-Natal on the South Coast. The arrest took place 2 weeks after the mass murders of 18 relatives shot and killed at Gobozana village. He claimed that during his arrest he was abused by officers. The accused also says he was assaulted for disobeying orders such as facing down. He says officers slapped him during questioning, especially on the whereabouts of the firearms, and accused 5 Songezo Vuma. The arresting officer previously testified in the matter, claiming none of the accused were assaulted. His testimony is the last one in the trial within a trial. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape.
The Johannesburg Metro Police Department is warning the public about a fraudulent job advert circulating on social media. The fake post claims that applications for a 2026 Metro Police and Traffic Learnership program are now open. The department has distanced itself from the posts, stressing that they did not originate from the JMPD or the city of Joburg. JMPD spokesperson Xolani Fihla says while vacancies were advertised last year, the process was halted due to internal admin procedures.
The JMPD does not use third-party websites such as .xyz or .co.za domains or WhatsApp numbers to facilitate applications. All legitimate vacancies are advertised through the official City of Johannesburg website. The public is urged to exercise extreme caution. These fraudulent posts are designed to exploit job seekers and may be used to solicit bribes or steal personal information.
And Turkish police have arrested 110 coal miners after they marched all the way to Ankara to protest over unpaid wages. The miners staged a topless sit-in outside the Energy Ministry after a 9-day journey with the words "We are hungry" written on their bodies. Their union says the group was detained while waiting to speak to officials. The workers are demanding outstanding pay and redundancy money from their employer. When questioned by AFP, the Energy Ministry declined to comment. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 24 degrees.
In Krugersdorp, expect queuing traffic on the N14 West heading towards Hendrik Potgieter. In Selby, traffic is sluggish on the M2 West from the Crown Interchange all the way to Main Reef Road. And further south in Glenanda, traffic is building up on Foster Avenue. You can use Van Beek Avenue and Glen Avenue as alternatives and save yourself some time.
The top story in EWN, South African Airways has been hit with another disclaimer by the Auditor General as the airline's financial woes persist.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting, and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
That's Tabo, before he got naked. When Tabo's car broke down, he did what every manly man does best. Hit things, fiddle, and hope it works. So Tabo got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance in seconds and can now call roadside assistance anytime on the Naked app. Tools down, Tabo. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Joburg, get ready for the hottest music festival of the year. Scatterling's Music Festival, featuring Zex Bantwini, Java, Sanal Musician, J Something, Msaki, Jesse Clegg, Simi, Trezor, Sminofu, and more, all on one stage. Scatterling's Music Festival, Huddle Park, Johannesburg. 1 August, one day. Back-to-back hits. Tickets on sale at webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Afternoon, John. Speaking of the moments where our parents embarrassed us, or I thought it did. It was when I was in high school, when my father was a school transporter. So he would come, and then I would not want anyone to know where my father is working. But he looks exactly like me, even though that didn't know me. Immediately they see him, they would know that, no, this one is Eric's father. So he used to come at school, and maybe even before, after school, and then friends and other school kids, the way they look down in these other odd jobs. So it used to be embarrassing me at highest level. But then as I grew, I thought it was just funny that I would be ashamed and then be embarrassed about what is putting food on my table. Thanks, John. Bye.
Hi, good afternoon, John. My son was a teenager and with his friends in the car. And yeah, I put the Tupac on and I'm blasting Tupac. And were these boys pleasantly embarrassed, and they just couldn't believe this church auntie is getting down with Tupac. And I tell you, since then I've been a super cool mom to my son. Thank you.
From school, I'm scared to go home. I was a fool with the big boys breaking all the rules. Shed tears with my baby sister. Over the years, we was poor than other little kids. And even though we had different daddies, the same drama with things.
What a lovely story. Cool church mama. Blasting the kids away with a little bit of Tupac. Still to come on 702 Drive. Now that's a wonderful noise, maybe the most wonderful noise you can hear in the wild. But what if that is the noise made by your next patient? We'll talk at about 10 to 4 to Dr. Dewald Keert, who is head vet at the Johannesburg Zoo. Can't wait for that. It's 18 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Sport now with Anthony Teixeira. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. Well, let's start with football, where after 16 years at West Ham, our Vice Chair Karen Brady has stepped down. In a farewell letter the Baroness shared, she was grateful for the time with the club and the privilege of working alongside the board, management, players, staff and supporters. During her stay, she ended the Londoners' 43-year major trophy drought as they lifted the 2023 Europa Conference League title. At the moment, the Hammers are in a fight for Premier League survival. Last night's goalless encounter at Crystal Palace has seen them move 2 points clear of 18th place Spurs. Here's their manager, Nuno Espírito Santo.
It helps. It proves that the players are committed, are doing everything that they can to keep a clean sheet for the team. And we know that it's going to be a fight till the end, and keeping this solid and compact in defense for sure is going to help us.
That result also brought an end to Wolves' 9-year stay in the English top flight. This evening, Chelsea will look to end a run of 4 straight league defeats as they head to Brighton. Last time the Blues lost 5 games in a row was in 1993. Any drop points would also dent their hopes of ending in the UEFA Champions League spots, as they would remain 7 points adrift of 5th place Liverpool with only 12 points available. Although manager Liam Rossignol isn't too concerned by that.
I don't think you can think like that. I said in a previous press conference, we'll deal with each situation as it arises. At the moment, it's a difficult task, but we just have to focus on winning the game tomorrow against, as you said, a very good Brighton team. We have to make sure we train very, very well, which we have done today, and we go down to Brighton with the only focus has to be on winning this game of football.
Kickoff is 9 p.m. In rugby, reigning under-20 world champs, the Junior Bucks have been forced to change for their squad. Hooker Siposito Mbembele has been replaced by Matle Sitole after he suffered an ankle injury. They begin their title defense next week, Monday, at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. And the IPL match for the day at 4 p.m. sees the Sunrisers Hyderabad up against the Delhi Capitals. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. We predicted potentially a much earlier rush hour today, and Mongezi Koko, it would seem like if you're going on Winnie Mandela Drive, that's already taking shape.
That's right, Ntatejon. We do start in 4 ways where a faulty traffic light is causing bumper-to-bumper delays on Winnie Mandela Drive. Now, that's between Monte Casino and the Four Ways Crossing. In Parktown, expect queuing traffic on the M1 North towards Oxford Road. In the Joburg CBD, outgoing traffic slows on the M1 North towards Braamfontein. Further south in Eldorado Park, traffic slows heavily on the N12 East, traveling towards the Golden Highway exit. You're looking at a delay of about 7 minutes or so. Otherwise, on the East Rand and Edenvale, traffic is building up on the N3 North towards Modderfontein Road. A number of traffic lights are out in the city of Tshwane and Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Brakfontein Road. Pointsmen are on duty there though, and in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu Drive, and in the CBD John at Tabo Sihume. If there's anything that I've missed or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp message on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If it's plumbing, you'll find it at PlumLink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers, and baths to basins, taps, tools, and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a PlumLink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
PlumLink, your local plumbing store.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. After 4, we're going to look more closely at the decision by the National Prosecuting Authority not to prosecute anyone in regard to that fatal road rage shooting that took place that occurred in Emmarentia in Johannesburg on Sunday. And Tabi Singh Dubazana, Director of Dubazana Attorneys, will be in to give us a broad legal perspective. We are still trying to get the National Prosecuting Authority to come on and share a little bit more detail about the decision they made. That is coming up later on the show.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
But right now, we threw out the question, what did your parents do that embarrassed you? And I'm being very careful in my wording here. I'm not saying what did they do to embarrass you, because that's a very specific set of intentions, and that would be perhaps maybe even another conversation. What did they do that actually embarrassed you, and are you repeating history in your own relationship with younger people in your lives by potentially being that embarrassing older person, uncle, grandfather, parent, guardian, or whatever it might be? Call us with that on 072 702 1702. Anthony Teixeira, I would be very surprised if you didn't have a story.
I'm going to be honest. I've actually, when I was younger, never felt embarrassed by my mom.
Okay.
At all. I sort of everything.
That's the story.
I took everything that she did in stride. Nothing was really embarrassing. The only thing where I sort of got embarrassed, and this happened about 6 months ago, is I was trying to explain to her what boba was, boba tea.
Yes.
And she just couldn't understand the concept of boba. And the more I explained, and we were with a bunch of people, the more I explained, you could see the more frustrated she was getting. And that was the only time I thought, oh no, this is actually embarrassing that I can't explain what boba is. But again, that was more of an embarrassment on my part than it was on her not understanding it. Otherwise, everything else, you just sort of take it on your shoulders and you just keep it going. Although I must say, I do try and embarrass younger people all the time. I do try to make them cringe as much as possible, whether it's singing off tune, dancing off beat, whatever it is. I am there. I'm willing to make them go, oh.
Cringe for hire.
Love it. Love it so much.
So, if I want to find out what boba tea is, can I get your mom's number? I mean,
I don't know if she could explain it to you now.
Because I have to say, I've just had to Google. So the thing my mom that did that embarrassed me was her driving. And I'll describe the situation to you. I used to play in a football club, actually at the Wanderers Club, and we mainly lived in Joburg Northwest. So there were different parents who took it in turns to take us there. My mom drove incredibly slowly. Like if she got cars in those days were probably miles an hour, but let's modernize it. If she got above 30, 35, and, you know, the other boys in the back were saying things like, "Do we get out and walk?" You know, and I'd be sitting in the front. And one day I said to go fast. And she said, "What? Are you telling me how to drive?" No, I didn't say anything. But I found it excruciating. And, of course, because she was driving slowly, it took ages to get there. I mean, this was slow burn embarrassment. Our mom's driving.
She's a traffic reporter's dream.
Yeah. No, well, it's anyone behind her, you know, you could hear hooting and like, oh, wow. No idea. I wonder what these people are hooting about. Anyway, my story of embarrassing parents. All the while, as we had in the earlier voice note from the guy talking about the work his dad did at the school, all the while she was actually doing me and all these other boys a massive good turn, for which I remain grateful. 10 minutes to 4.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, sometimes you read something about another country or a story set in another part of the world, and it makes you think, wow, I wonder what it's like to get somebody who's actually doing that work in South Africa. So if you ever want to check this out, go onto the website of the British newspaper, The Guardian. They have a photo essay with some accompanying text. It's called From Sleeping Lions to Spitting Snakes, a year in the life of London zoo vets. The pictures are really interesting. The narrative is quite compelling as well. But nothing beats live radio talking about something in your own city. And that's why we're delighted to welcome to the show Dr. Dewald Keert, who is Manager Veterinary Services at the Johannesburg Zoo. Dr. Keert, welcome and thanks so much for your time. As I was mentioning in my intro, really found this a fascinating thing. I mean, the Joburg Zoo, as I understand it, has about 2,000 animals, over 320 species. Would you be able to say which of those present the most tricky veterinary problems, or are they all different and all potentially complicated?
Good afternoon, John. My name is Dewald. It's a very interesting start to this conversation. I must admit you are totally correct with all the figures you've mentioned now.
Mm-hmm.
But altogether, for me as a veterinarian that had developed on the African continent, obviously the indigenous species are far more easy to work with.
Right.
And I've only became a zoo veterinarian fairly recently, and it was quite a culture shock to me, academic.
I'm sure.
And
yeah,
I mean, all of a sudden I had to work with spiders and reptiles and fish. It was an incredible adaptation period in my career. But altogether, eventually it became fascinating. And they are, to me, still the most challenging species to work with. But altogether, the diversity is overwhelming every day.
So let me ask you, because you mentioned spiders, how do you know when a spider is unwell? I mean, presumably they don't have annual checkups.
What I always do is I always listen to the keepers and the animal attendants. They know their specific animals very, very well. So if they tell you when these, let's call them relatively unfamiliar species are not well, you do your examinations irrespective of your own perception that the animal may appear to be normal. So I start off with the advice from the attendants and the keepers and the curators.
So they know these animals, they know their feeding patterns, they know how they move, how they relate to each other, and they would say, hang on a bit, something's not right with the meerkats or whatever it might be. I mean, in terms of the vet's engagement, presumably this has to be safe for you and whoever's working with you, and it's got to be safe for the animal as well. How complicated is that, particularly when you're not quite sure what's wrong, and as you've just said, you're learning about these species right now?
John, I'll start off with a little story from when I was still a student.
Okay.
We had a very learned professor, and he was propagating that whenever we approach animals or work with animals, always, but always, first plan your escape route.
Okay.
So to this day, I always, when I work with more challenging specimens, I would, subconsciously plan my escape route and plan for the worst scenario. So in general, you got to know your behavior of your species. And if you're familiar with behavior patterns, and obviously animals are threatened when they're in captivity. So altogether, it is a complex approach, and you need to consider a lot of factors when working with these animals, and in them being wild animals. And usually in zoos in Africa, our animals are not well trained in a sense that they would come and present themselves for examination or sampling.
Mm-hmm.
So very often we need to physically or chemically immobilize these animals before we can examine them clinically and consider their various conditions.
So, Doc, I would think, I mean, I'm a huge fan of going to the bushes. I never fail to tell our listeners, is part of the thrill of the work that you do that you literally get in touching distance of some really quite magnificent creatures. I recognize that's probably far from your mind if you're looking after a lion or a leopard or anything like that. But maybe even in hindsight, it must feel like a remarkable privilege.
It is truly a remarkable privilege. I was very fortunate to work with wildlife my entire career, so I've got very, very little domestic animal experience.
Okay.
And my entire life, it was just fascinating to work with wildlife. Initially, African wildlife had more of an appeal to me than wildlife from other continents. But in later years, the entire wildlife spectrum and all the orders of live creatures became even more fascinating. Yeah, that feeling of that you're working with something special, I don't think that will ever disappear.
I know you've indicated, Doc, just as a final question, that this is still relatively new for you. But in whatever time you've had, what's been the most challenging thing? I mean, my mind would go, well, working with a tiger must be tricky, but I would imagine working with a spider could be a lot more difficult, given the kind of minutiae that you've got to get your head around.
John, I would prefer. I cannot recall any recent spider experiences I had.
Okay.
But altogether, in a captive environment, because animals are never the same as what they are in nature when they are in captivity. A large number of behavior patterns that I'd previously never seen in the wild becomes apparent when animals are permanently in captivity. And that is probably, in my opinion, one of the more challenging aspects of working in a zoo with wild animals that you previously only experienced as truly wild specimens. And now suddenly they exhibit different behavior patterns amongst themselves and towards people. So suddenly they are far more habituated, and a wild animal that's habituated, are far more dangerous than a truly wild animal.
Thank you so much. Fascinating. I wish we had more time, and we'll get him back again to talk to us. Dr. Dewald Keert is Manager of Veterinary Services at the Johannesburg Zoo. I mentioned that piece that you could look at on The Guardian. And speaking of the zoo, what they do wonderfully well is they create all sorts of opportunities to spend time at what I think is a really exquisitely beautiful part of Johannesburg. Coming up, the Mother's Day concert at the Joburg Zoo. It's on the 10th of May. The artist lineup is fabulous. Ami Faku, The Soil, Matthew Mole, just to name a couple. And there's the Phoenix Orchestra as well, conducted by Richard Koch. And then, as I said, the environment. Perfect place for so many things. It's going to be wonderful on the 10th of May at the Mother's Day concert. Get your tickets now.
That's Amanda before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
In business, missed deliveries cost more than money. Go Girl Logistics is South Africa's 100% black female-owned Level 1 Triple BEE powerhouse, delivering secure, time-sensitive transport for parcels, cold chain cargo, and compliance waste. With DG trained drivers, cold chain certification, national read, and real-time tracking, every load is handled professionally, safely, and on time. Go Girl Logistics, power beyond cargo. Visit gogirl-logistics.com.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Where are you now in terms of your optimism for South Africa as the conflict is still underway?
So I think fundamentals will prevail. At some point, this too shall pass, and therefore I still think we're going to have a double-digit year. Not a 40% year like we had last year, but if you look over 3 years, sort of our returns for the all-share index is 15%. Relative to what you're going to get in cash today, I still say it's worthwhile taking the risk into equities.
Hannes van den Berg, portfolio manager at a 91.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Crutches, is brought to you by ABSA Corporate Investment Banking. Success in trade comes from systems that move with speed, connect markets seamlessly, and unlock growth that works across borders. That's why ABSA is a proud sponsor of Trade Tech Europe 2026. Engineered for how Africa trades. ABSA is a registered FSP.
This is EWN.
The SIU freezes assets worth over 76 million linked to Escom corruption, and tech giant Apple ready for its new CEO. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Special Investigating Unit has frozen assets worth 76.5 million rand linked to procurement fraud at Escom. The assets frozen belong to businessman Siyabonga Nkosi and his network of trusts. The preservation order covers 17 immovable properties and 7 luxury vehicles, preventing them from being sold, transferred or concealed while investigations continue. The probe uncovered widespread procurement irregularities at Eskom's Kusile and Matla power stations between 2021 and 2023. SIU spokesperson Selby Mahoto says officials allegedly approved inflated purchase orders for equipment critical to power station operations.
Instead of delivering reliable service, Nkosi's companies delivered invoices. Escom officials signed off on contracts that priced the relays at 50,000 rand each, when the market price was between 180 rands and 450 rands. This manipulation resulted in a direct financial loss of 73.6 million rands to Escom.
Disgraced Police Commissioner Fannie Masemola has promised to continue cracking down on crime identified in testimony from the Madlanga Commission. Masemola made his first appearance in the Pretoria Magistrates Court as an accused today. He has been charged for contravening the Public Finance Management Act in the irregular awarding of the multi-million rand Medicare 24 tender. Masemola will join Vusimuzi Cat Matlala and 12 police officers in the dock, all accused of fraud and corruption. Speaking to journalists after his appearance, Masemola responded to questions of whether his arrest is as a direct result of the arrest being made by the so-called Madlanga task team.
We have not yet finished. We are just starting. There is still a lot that we are going to expose. A lot of work around organized crime is going to be done. So, yeah.
Let's take you to the Madlanga Commission now, where Tswane's suspended Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi has been accused of using his position to cancel a tender at the municipality on behalf of a notorious taxi boss. Mnisi, who is also the chairperson of the city's bid adjudication committee, has been grilled over the decision to cancel a 2024 security tender. That tender was initially meant to be a replacement of a previous security tender for the guarding of critical municipal infrastructure. Thabiso Goba takes a look.
WhatsApp chats before the Madlanga Commission show in March last year Sergeant Fannie Nkosi was in possession of a confidential bid evaluation committee document relating to the security tender. Nkosi sent that document to someone he only identified as Mampane and as the right-hand man of the late taxi boss Jonathan Mswazi Msibi. Mampane responded to Nkosi by saying, quote, "Puti, please let him say no to that appointment." Evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson says this then triggered a chain of events leading to the tender being cancelled by the bid adjudication committee, which was chaired by Gareth Mnisi.
You see, Mr. Mnisi, what I want to put to you is that if we look at these 3 bullet points, none of them justify a decision to cancel.
However, Mnisi disagrees.
I had indicated clearly
that the probity report is a critical document that was considered by the BAC in terms of cancelling that. And I further disagree with the notion that I had any knowledge of whatever discussions were occurring between Mr. Mampane or Sergeant Nkosi.
The cancellation of the tender meant the Tshwane municipality was forced to extend the expiry date of the current one that's been in place since 2022. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis says while his party is going all out to gain control over the country's 8 metro municipalities, polling suggests a scenario of coalition governance is more likely. Today, the party announced 11 more mayoral candidates that will contest elections in the Western Cape during the upcoming local government elections. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The DA's newly elected leader says he's still finding his feet in balancing his mayoral duties with that of party leadership. Jordan Hill-Lewis has given the party's third batch of mayoral candidates in the Western Cape, some of whom are already serving in that capacity, their marching orders.
They must be unmistakable, unashamed, undeniably different and better. A higher ethical standard, a higher moral code, honest with public funds.
Hill-Lewis says while attaining an outright majority is always the goal in any election, failing that, the party wants the electoral outcome to still put it in the driving seat.
So our job over the next 7 months or so is to get as close as possible to that magic majority number and maximize our votes so that we can have the strongest possible negotiating position when we come to coalition negotiations.
The party has now announced 26 of its 30 mayoral candidates in the Western Cape. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And tech giant Apple will have a new head soon, with Tim Cook stepping down. Cook ran the company for 15 years after taking the reins from co-founder Steve Jobs. The CEO position will now be handed over to company veteran John Turnus as Apple navigates a technology landscape being upended by AI. Cook is credited with expanding Apple's product line and ramping up the company's value to around $4 trillion based on current share prices. While gold is trading at $4,786.18 an ounce, the rand is at 16.38 to the dollar, 22.15 to the pound, 19.26 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.81 a barrel.
A very good afternoon. In Amalgam, there are some delays on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. In Midrand, there's slow-moving traffic on the N1 North towards New Road. Now, that's owed to an earlier accident scene. And in Lenasia, there's an uptick on Lenasia Drive all the way until you get to the R558.
And in your sport, Blitzboks confirm return to SA following historic Hong Kong Sevens title. Chelsea hoping to reignite their UCL qualification hopes. PGA Tour to end the Hawaii Open in 2027. And boxing dealt a doping blow.
A cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 14 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 16 and 21, and Vereeniging 15, also at 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Special Investigating Unit has frozen assets worth 76.5 million rand linked to procurement fraud at Escom.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. Welcome to the show. You're with us for the next 2 hours. We hope we've got plenty to share with you as we catch up with the big news story of the day. Matlanga Commission of Inquiry just wrapped up proceedings for today. Thabiso Goba, our EWN reporter, joins us after 5. Once again, the suspended Tshwane Metro CFO Gareth Nisi has been facing questions and offering answers. I have to say, and I've said this before in regards to the Matlanga Commission, but in addition to the probing of potential wrongdoing, you know what the Commission's mandate is, looking at criminality, corruption and political interference in the South African Police Service. But the extent to which it has laid bare the way in which officials at our major metros go about crucial business involving literally hundreds of millions of rands, it really has been an eye-opener. We often talk about the consequences of money being improperly spent or just simply badly managed, but the blow-by-blow, layer-by-layer, laying bare of the processes and the extent to which some of them simply don't work has really been quite shocking but not surprising, to use a phrase I often use. Tabiso with us, as I said, in about an hour's time. At 10 to 5, we're going to look at yet another rule change for Formula One racing. Sudhir Matai, managing editor of doubleapex.co.za. I know many of you are Grand Prix fans. He'll be in to just explain what's going on, and perhaps if there's time, give us a thought on how the season has gone so far. And then much more immediately and much more urgently, I think, we're going to be looking at the decision by the National Prosecuting Authority that as things stand, they will not be prosecuting anyone in regard to that fatal road rage shooting in the suburb of Emmarentia in Johannesburg on Sunday. And Tabiseng Dubazana, director of Dubazana Attorneys, is our guest. We are still trying to get hold of the NPA because obviously we'd like to hear in more detail some of the thinking behind the decision they have reached. All of that and more on 702 Drive on a much lighter note. We asked the question, memories of when your parents embarrassed you, and perhaps some examples of you embarrassing the younger people in your life. Greg kicks us off with this text message sent to 072 702 1702. My mom would lick her hand and rub dirt off my face. Greg adds, I was 35. 12 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Hi, Daddy John. Oh gosh, what my parents did that embarrassed me is have me. They were 38 years old when I was born. And, when I was in primary school, senior primary school, I found it so embarrassing that my parents were about the age of other people's grandparents. So I asked my brother to come to parents' evenings. And unfortunately, I am almost 38 and pregnant. So there you go.
Hi, John. My son plays cricket and rugby for school. And there is this parent of one of the boys who is such a screamer. I mean, that lady screams so hard in support of the school, but I often hear the boys in the teams, they're like, what is she doing? So I can just imagine his son must be feeling so embarrassed every time his mom does that, and she does it relentlessly. She doesn't stop, never stops. Both for cricket and for rugby, she's there screaming. But I guess she's a proud mom, but I'm sure the boys see it otherwise. So that's my story of parents doing things to embarrass their kids. Luckily for my son, I don't scream much, I don't talk much, I just watch the games. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks for those. Tobisi says, fetching me from the street playing and whopping my butt all the way home. And somebody else, I'm just trying to get the name for it because I think there may be some follow-up on this, and I think we are going to have to make sure that the person is identified. Where is this now? The embarrassing thing is supporting Kaizer Chiefs. But we do need to put a name on this because I think, families may want to have a discussion about this and possibly look for some kind of redress. I'll give you the name in a moment, but first let's get you the very latest traffic news, 14 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Well, Tete John, okay.
Off you go.
I'm in a rush, and I hope that the motorists are not in too much of a rush. We're going to start with that weather warning by the South African Weather Service. It's for severe thunderstorms across Gauteng. So please drive carefully and make sure that your headlights are on and that you keep a safe following distance. We're going to start in the capital, where there's heavy traffic on Sefako Drive East. Now, that's through the N1 highway headed all the way towards Moloto Road. In Centurion, outgoing traffic slows on the N14 North North. It's just after the R55 Pretoria West exit. So as you approach that bend, drive a bit carefully. In Houghton in Joburg, expect queuing traffic on the M1 North towards Glenhove Road. In Lindborough Park, there's queuing traffic on the N3 South at Marlborough Drive. We still have a number of traffic lights that are still out in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Monte Casino, in North Riding at Malibongwe and Mahogany, in Houghton at Houghton Drive and Joe Slovo Drive. Now, if there's anything that I've missed or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp message on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What are some of the kinds of skills and what does the education pipeline look like in terms of the talent we need to sustain this field?
You know, I'm in the School of Physics, and whenever we think of quantum, even if you're not a scientist, I mean, all your listeners would have watched Star Trek and Star Wars, and you always think this is the realm of science fiction and science. We really want to take it out of the School of Physics into other disciplines. We want to see people in medicine using quantum to image better. We want to see people in economics use it to model our financial systems better.
Professor Andrew Forbes, distinguished physicist professor within the School of Physics at the University of the Witwatersrand.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that brings us all together. In celebration of that, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be a part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702 and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. More on primemediaplus.com.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
We only needed dog food, that's all we went in for. Just kibble for our Archie, it really was nothing more. But then a squeaky chicken caught my beady eye, and a collar with a shiny bell, shampoo to wave the fleas bye-bye.
That's crazy, crazy, that's the crazy store. Went in for one small thing, came out with so much more.
The crazy store. Hey, you never know what you might find.
When it comes to resilience, focus and strength, few South Africans embody it like Gerda Steyn, the Comrades Marathon champion and one of the toughest endurance athletes in our country, sits down with Dr. Michael Mole for a powerful conversation you won't want to miss. It's part of Sipla's Health and Mind Matters, a trusted hub bringing you expert-led health conversations you can trust. Together, they unpack mindset, pressure, physical health, and what it really takes to stay strong mentally and physically. Watch the full video now on the Prime Media Plus app or primemediaplus.com. Scroll to Prime Media Highlights and click on Health Matters.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's turn now to an issue that really I think has got many people talking, and I think it's fair to say people wondering, well, exactly how does this work in terms of law? The issue is related to that road rage incident in Emmarentia on Sunday, shooting that left one man dead and his wife hospitalized with injuries. The matter was in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court earlier today. The man who fired the shots was set to appear after a 4-hour delay. And the word from the NPA is that after the full consideration of the evidence of the alleged road rage incident, I'm quoting here from their statement, the NPA has decided not to proceed with the matter pending further investigations. And Tabi Singh Dubazana is our guest again today. She's director at Dubuzana Attorneys, and we welcome her to the show. Ms. Dubuzana, welcome, and thanks so much for your time. I'm sort of struggling to make sense of this in terms of this seeming to me to be a very early decision, given the time that's been available for investigation. But I'm sure you're in a much better position to help us make sense of it. What are the key questions we should be asking?
Good afternoon, John, and thank you for having me. So what happens is that usually when a person is arrested, they are going to sign what we call a warning statement at the police station.
Right.
I always advise anybody who's going to get arrested and you're about to sign a warning statement to do it without your attorney present. But anyway, so that warning statement is basically your version of events on what happened on that particular day in question, and it will be accompanied by what we call the A1 and the A2 statements. So it will be the companion statement. In this regard, it will be the wife if they were able to get her statement, alternatively any other witness which was present on that day. So that information then goes onto the desk of the SPP of the court that's going to hear this matter. So the SPP is the senior public prosecutor, and then the SPP has to consider it as a new case to decide whether or not to place it on the roll for that particular day. So in order to make that decision, they first have to look at what the charge is, what the evidence is at that particular moment on record. So which means the attorneys for the accused in this particular matter made representations as well based on whatever version of events that they had received from their client and the other witnesses and whatever is in the docket, and said that their client's actions fell under the umbrella of self-defense.
Right.
So with that, the docket can't turn into a murder docket until the inquest has been completed.
So for me and perhaps others to say, well, they've declined to prosecute, maybe is, I don't know if it's an outright misrepresentation. I'm happy to be told that it is, but it's a very partial view, because if I've understood you correctly, Ms. Dubuzana, we are at a particular stage in a well-known and well understood for lawyers process, rather than anywhere near a final decision. Would that be more accurate?
100%, because they're saying that pending investigation. So currently at this moment, they did not even issue what we call a nolli prosecute certificate. They wouldn't do that. What they would choose to do is then say, we won't put it on the record for now. And therefore it means that the accused would be released because there is no charge leveled against him. If they did issue a nolli prosecute certificate, it would be at their detriment, because they would have said that it means there is not sufficient evidence to prosecute, and then that is closed. So I do not think, and I hope they haven't issued a nolli prosecute certificate. They just said, at this moment, we're not putting it on the roll. We will look at it later once further investigations have been done.
Yeah. So maybe to offer some clarity on that, a piece on the Citizen website, Faisal Patel, who's an excellent senior journalist there, spoke to the lawyer of the man who made his first appearance, the lawyer advocate Mohammed Yusuf Razak. And this is the quote from the advocate: "We crafted a comprehensive warning statement narrating the suspect's version. On the basis of that warning statement, the state elected not to prosecute at this juncture. In all probability, the matter will revert to an inquest." And then a concluding comment from Advocate Razak, again from Faisal Patel, a quote again: "However, the state may make a different finding, and upon gathering further investigation, they can take a different decision." That would suggest categorically that no noli prosequi at this stage.
100%. That's what I said when we started, that it can't be a murder docket anymore as a direct result of the representation. So it means it has to now revert back to an inquest. So an inquest is a semi-formal inquiry as to who is at fault for the death of a particular individual. So once the investigations have been dealt with and everything has been compiled, it usually goes and sits in front of a magistrate, but not on a court roll, just for the magistrate to look at what is before him or her and then see, based on that evidence, if indeed we can pass blame on the accused who killed the man and shot his wife. And if based on that, the magistrate says, yes, there is sufficient evidence for this inquest to turn back into a murder, then it can come back on the court roll. But if it comes back from the inquest that, no, there there's nothing enough for us to go on, then that's where it will end.
And just a final question, Ms. Dubazana. Are there different levels of inquest in South Africa? I'll tell you why I ask. My sense of inquest is that they take a long time. I guess my mind is going to something like the Life-Escom inquest. But is there something that is a bit more expeditious, a little more quicker, that works through the facts as we know them, with a view to reaching a decision on next steps rather than a verdict?
Yes, usually it depends on how the circumstances of each case are dealt with.
Right.
So this one, I believe there's enough evidence, quickly attainable evidence. There's sufficient video evidence from dash cams and sufficient eyewitnesses, so you don't have to go far to find out what happened. But when we compare it, for example, with the one that you made with Life-Escom, there was too much to go through in order for them to come to a final conclusion. But this one shouldn't take that long. We should be able to get an answer on whether the inquest is successful to change it into murder, or it will remain as is and the accused is not charged.
Ntabi Singh Dubazana, thank you, Director of Dubazana Attorneys. Your own thoughts on what we've heard? I must admit, I am much, much clearer in my own mind as to what's happened so far and what might happen next. Hope that helped for you. 26 minutes past 4.
That's Fannie before he got naked. Fannie's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really, really, really funny meme he posted in the group chat. What? So Fannie got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fannie. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Many of us take taking a deep breath for granted. But for some infants with RSV, every breath is a battle. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
It's another girl! Yes! Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
EWN Business.
Interesting day on the markets as all that uncertainty, it would seem, remains exactly that, uncertainty. But here's the details. Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon to you. What are we looking at today?
John, good afternoon. As always nowadays, I used to spend my life looking at the gold price first. Now, of course, it's the oil price, just up by 1% or so, up $1 really to just over $95 a barrel. Partly, I suppose, helped by the fact that the US President Donald Trump says that he doesn't really want to extend the 2-week ceasefire, that his military is raring to go to have another go at bombing Iran, and that probably not really calming markets. Although, interestingly, in the US, things are surging because there have been really good profit reports from various companies. So oil a bit higher, and that's pushing the JSE All Share down 0.77%, 119,079 points. Financials down 0.08%, industrials down 0.33%, resources down nearly 2% as it happens. So Pan-African Resources down nearly 4%, Alpha Min down 3.49%, Gold Fields down 3.2%. Interesting what's going on in consumer companies today. So the Foschini Group, they're down 2%. They were down yesterday too. Boxer is up 2%, while Spar and Clicks are both up by well over 1%. And Woolies, in fact, up 0.98%. So a little bit of optimism, it would seem, coming through in some of the consumer shares. Thungela, they're up nearly 2% as well. But Sasol, one of the big winners yesterday, they've been weaker for much of the day. The concrete producer and iron and coal maker, or producer, I suppose I should say, Afrimat, they're having a really tough day. They released a trading statement showing they'd lost money during their second half. Now, their overall headline earnings to the end of February still be up by around 30%, but its shares dropped like a stone by around 14% this morning. They've recovered quite strongly now. They're down about 6.39%. So, sort of strangely, that really being hit quite hard by investors today. In the US, so yes, concerns about oil prices, but more optimism about artificial intelligence. There have been strong corporate earnings, and that lifted the markets there at the open. The Dow Jones is up 0.62%, the Nasdaq is up 0.34%, and the S&P 500 is up 0.31%. The gold price at the moment is sitting at $4,780.71 a barrel, is lower today. Platinum slightly higher, $2,084.30, and Brent crude $95.32. The rand to the dollar 16.38, to the euro 19.28, to the British pound 22.16. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news now. All sorts of information coming out of the Western Cape in regard to the SANDF efforts in communities affected by gangs. Let's get an update on that, on some other stories as well. Here's Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Police say Operation Prosper is making progress in removing illegal firearms from the streets in the Western Cape. Authorities report several arrests since the start of this week, including suspects found in possession of firearms as well as drugs. Operation Prosper is a joint effort between the SANDF, police and metro officers targeting crime hotspots in the Western Cape, Eastern Cape as well as Gauteng. Western Cape Police spokesperson Frederick van Wyk says one of the biggest breakthroughs came yesterday when drugs worth more than 2.7 million rand was seized after a vehicle was stopped in Delft.
Further investigations led them to a storage facility in Stikland in Bellville. At the facility, the members found 46 packs containing 1,000 Mandrax tablets each and a total of 46,000 units of Mandrax tablets. The suspect was arrested and will appear in the Bellville Magistrates Court once charged.
A high-ranking police officer testifying in the trial of alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modak has told the court that slain top cop Charles Kinnear did not trust the police. Modak, along with 14 others, faces 122 charges, including the murder of Kinnear nearly 6 years ago. Modak's lawyer has called a police captain to testify about a meeting with Kinnear before the fatal shooting in 2020. Carlo Peterson has more.
A police captain who asked not to be named took the stand today as a witness for Nafis Modak's defense. The captain, who can only be referred to as Mr. F, told the court slain top cop Charles Kinnear had a dispute with General Andre Lincoln in January 2020, 9 months before his murder. Mr. F says Kinnear was disgruntled because Lincoln wanted him transferred from Mitchell's Plain back to Sea Point Police Station, where he had previously been based. He told the court Lincoln wanted the transfer because Kinnear refused to do a security assessment after a botched hand grenade attack at his home. Mr. F says he asked Kinnear why he did not want to do the assessment.
He says, how the hell can Lincoln put people by my place and then a hand grenade attempted to get thrown by my place, and then just subsequently the afterwards, where the threat was genuine, he take the people away.
Mr. F told the court Kinnear did not trust anyone in the police, most especially his colleagues in the anti-gang unit. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
Operations are back to normal at the Kruger National Park today after a fire broke out earlier. The blaze was located at Lower Sabi Rest Camp, damaging the retail shop. Rangers and staff quickly contained the blaze before it could spread to other parts of the park. South African National Park says accommodation is unaffected and the camp is fully booked for the next two long weekends. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
Activities like guided game drives and walks are continuing as normal at the Kruger National Park following today's fire. However, guests are advised to stock up on supplies before arriving. Basic items like wood and ice are also available at nearby camps that were not affected. Sandpark says the restaurant was not damaged but remains closed due to fire-related power cuts. Park management says temporary retail, food and beverage services will be set up as soon as possible. Guests are urged to avoid the affected area while investigations into the cause of the fire continue. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And in Nigeria, the prosecutor has charged 6 people over a coup plot which was foiled by authorities last year. According to AFP, the court documents indicate that the 6 charged include a retired major general. They face charges including conspiring with one another to commit an act of terrorism. Government initially denied the existence of the alleged coup, but in January it announced the legal action would be taken. Nigeria has seen several military takeovers in its history and spent much of the 20th century under junta rule after its independence from Britain in 1960. A cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 16 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
A very good afternoon. It's raining in most parts of Joburg. Expect heavy delays and heavy traffic volumes. Drive with care, switch on your headlights and be safe. Leaving Sunninghill, there are delays on the N1 North between Rivernia Road and the Beclue interchange. In Boksburg, there are also delays on the N17 West between Rondebolt Road and Osborne Road. Now, this is owed to roadworks. And in Omonde, outgoing traffic slows on the M1 North before Xavier Street all the way from the Uncle Charles interchange.
The top story in EWN, police say Operation Prosper is making progress in removing illegal firearms from the streets of the Western Cape.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
My show is about getting you informed by the time you get to the office, your place of business, or wherever you need to go. Hopefully, you have a fairly good idea what's happening in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and around the world. We want you to be part of those water cooler conversations, and you will be part of those conversations because you'll be a better informed citizen. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is the ecosystem that we have built, the community. It's all about connection because we may be different, but ultimately the people you talk to and the people you hear are facing issues just like you.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
This April, the Lyft Golden Ticket Hunt is back, and you have a shot at finding 150,000 Rand in flights across Cape Town, Durban, Joburg and Pretoria. Clues drop exclusively on Lyft socials, so you'll need to be quick. Watch closely, figure it out and race to the location. Plus, every Friday, there's a digital ticket to be found, giving everybody a chance to play along. To join the hunt, visit lyft.co.za, follow the clues and get cracking. T's and C's apply.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
Real reviews by real people. Today's testimonial comes from Jeff in Kempton Park. Now, Jeff seems to be a man of very few words. We've asked him to use his few words to tell us what he thinks of our flame-grilled peri-peri full chicken with any 2 sharing sides for $2.83. Jeff?
Nice.
Well, there you have it. When the meal is such a mouthful, you really only need a few words, I guess. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello. So when I was in high school, our head boy was picked up by his father every day, and his dad would always kiss him on the lips, and I think he found that quite embarrassing.
My worst moment in my life was when I was sitting in the movies in a very small dorp where I grew up, and suddenly the movie was stopped and here flashed on the screen, "Congratulations, Christine, you've passed matric. Your mother is in the foyer." And I went into the foyer and blushing like crazy, everybody clapping. There was my mother in her dressing gown and slippers. I've never got over it. Christine.
Hi, John. You know, for me, this Matlala Commission has really confirmed that the rates and taxes that we are paying as residents, I'll be more specific with Ekurhuleni itself. We are really funding the lifestyles of these criminals because honestly, the rates and taxes we are paying, not make sure, John. We are funding the lifestyles of these criminals.
Yeah, it's a compelling watch, but at times I must admit I just sit there and really, I can see steam coming out of my ears because there is stuff there that is utterly maddening and infinitely stoppable. I know that's not great grammar, but you just think it didn't have to happen the way it did. Yeah, embarrassing moments involving parents. Listen to this from Bryden, who says, my mom once took me back to Musica and asked them to take back a CD I bought because it had swearing. I wanted to die. Embarrassing? I think so. Thank you, Bryden. Keep those coming, please. 20 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Anthony Teixeira with the latest. Boy, the Blitzboks are having a year.
Yeah, what a splendid year they're having. Already wrapped up that 7 Series title and now looking for the championship. The Blitzboks returning back to SA on Wednesday afternoon, as we've had confirmation today after claiming a maiden Hong Kong Sevens title. Ronald Brown says momentum is very important in this sport. It's something that's just very hard to argue with, as they've already won 5 legs this season.
Humble, you can lose track of what you want to do and what you want to achieve, and you lose focus on the goal. For us as a system, we kept our eyes on the goal, we kept our eyes on the prize, we kept on believing, and we just kept going. And the boys showed up, and to put such a performance up in the final, that's just incredible.
The next leg of the grand finals is set for the last weekend of May in Valladolid, Spain, where they have Australia, Kenya, and Great Britain to contend with in their pool. In cricket, the Delhi Capitals have sent the Sunrisers into bat first in the IPL match for the day. Since then, they've gone on for 97 for 1 in the 9th over. Sharma's still there at the crease on 58 runs off of just 27 deliveries. Travis Head was just dismissed for 37 off of his 26. Meanwhile, in the football world, Chelsea will be meeting Brighton in the only Premier League match of the evening. Boss Liam Rosenior says it's the biggest week of the Londoner season so far. Their hopes for UEFA Champions League next season hang on the results tonight, as well as having an FA Cup semi-final Sunday against Leeds.
It's a massive week. It's what you're in football for, is key games. We've got a huge game tomorrow night, and then we go into an FA Cup semi-final against the Leeds team in form. That's why you're in football. That's what we want. But now is the time for us to deliver, and that's what we have to work towards.
Wolves became the first team to lose their top flight status last night as the West Ham earned points at Crystal Palace. The Hammers have had a vice chair, Karen Brady, stepping down from that role today. In golf, the PGA Tour confirmed it'll be ending the season-opening Hawaii Open from 2027. This year's event was cancelled due to drought-like conditions and water restrictions on the Kapalua course. And in boxing, it's been dealt a doping blow. A British boxer, Lawrence Okoli, has failed a doping test days before his scheduled fight against Tony Yoka. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Thanks, Anthony. Traffic news now. Joburg South, Glenander area, I believe. What's happening there?
That's right, and John, traffic is building up on Foster Avenue. You can use Van Beek Avenue and Glen Avenue as alternatives to try and save yourself some time. We're going to go further north in Bryanston. Expect some delays on Winnie Mandela Drive between Main Road and Leslie. We also are seeing a bit of a build-up in Lenasia. That's on Lenasia Drive until you get to the R558. In Midrand, traffic slows on the N1 North towards New Road. And finally, in Amalgam, there are some delays on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. A number of traffic lights are out in North Riding at Malibongwe and Mahogany, in Midrand at Old Pretoria Road and Olifantsfontein Road, in Centurion at Old Johannesburg Road and Brakfontein. However, pointsmen are all on duty. Now, if I've missed anything or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Now, during our traffic report yesterday, I think it was at around this time, possibly a little later in the show, we got a message from Caiphas Malapane, who was just alerting people to a particularly treacherous pothole in the area near the Meadowway Centre on Harry Galawn Drive. He said he hit the pothole, it punctured his tyre, went to a garage to try and sort it out and found he had to literally stand in a queue because there were other vehicles that had been hit in the same way. Now, Caiaphas did ask us to pass this on to the JRA. We did. They've come back to us and saying that they have actually filled that pothole now with gravel chips as a first step towards covering it with asphalt. And we'll keep updated on that. JRA will let us know how it's going. Caiaphas, thanks for your alert. Hopefully, this is the beginning of a solution to a problem that is, dangerous, but also very, very destructive for people who simply can't afford to be buying tires all the time. But JRA getting back to us, to their credit. We're pleased about that. Let's see if this work can get finally finished and a permanent solution found. 4:45.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
So this caught my eye on X. This particular X was put up by someone who calls himself Big Tim. And I want to read it for you and then get your responses, because I must say I quite liked it. He says, "No, you cannot walk 10,000 steps daily, get 8 hours of sleep, cook every night, clean every day, take care of a family, make time for your own hobbies, and still be productive at work every day." He continues, "This is not just propaganda, it is nonsense. Free yourself from it." So you can take different things out of this. What I took from it was kind of a nice sense of relief. He's just saying it's really easy to load yourself up with tasks and expectations, because coming from all sides, somebody's telling you to walk 10,000 steps daily, but they actually don't get 8 hours of sleep, and they maybe don't cook. But you're adding all these things, all these ideal things that you ought to be doing, stacking them up in a pile. So I'm wondering have you, because at the beginning of the year, we tend to talk about what are your goals for the new year, new hobbies you're taking on. Have you decided to just get a load off and say, you know what, I'm going to do the 10,000 steps, but actually I'm getting a takeaway. I'm not cooking and I'm not, those hobbies, they're going to have to wait. In other words, you just said, yeah, okay, this is a bit much. Let's not take a complete break, but make life a little bit easier. Does that ring any kind of bell with you, Mongezi?
Well, Dr. John, I usually think about it quite early on to say that the people who set these sort of goals are usually influencers who have a lot of time on their hands. I'm working an 8-hour job. There is no way that I'm going to knock off, purchase the ingredients that I need, cook, and then within all of that, make sure that I walk 10,000 steps in a day, and then still drink 8 liters of water and get 8 hours of sleep, and I still have to iron and do my laundry and all those different things. It's impossible. So I try to dumb it down to something that I can do. If I can go for a jog at least 3 times a week, I will. And if I can cook at least twice in a week, then I will. It's just you make it work for you, I think.
Yeah. The 8 liters of water a day does not factor time in the bathroom.
I don't
so that cuts into maybe, although it helps with your 10,000 steps. I do at least get that.
Yeah.
Anthony, what about you? Do you pile it all up in January and start disinvesting as the year unfolds?
I sort of do the opposite, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So at the start of the year, I refuse to take on anything new.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, no, it's a new year, because I think we set unrealistic goals for ourselves when we do start it. So then sort of like when we come towards June or July, then I'm like, no, I'm also going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And inevitably, by the time August has rolled around, I've already stopped doing everything I needed to do and I was setting out to do. I think what's important is that you take what helps you, what you can find success with, and the rest you just leave it to the side, because it's just going to be noise, it's just going to be pressure. If you're not getting those 8 hours, as somebody who doesn't get 8 hours of sleep, if I had to sit there and stress about it, I'd be getting even less than like my 5 hours. So no, don't listen.
So Big Tim gets some interesting responses, including this one. Life isn't, from someone who calls himself Memoir of Men. And Memoir of Men says, life isn't meant to be lived like a productivity spreadsheet. Trying to hit every target daily only leaves you drained and guilty. Learn to rotate priorities. Some days you move, some days you rest, some days you focus on family, and some days it's just work. I thought it was interesting. Give me your responses and perhaps a story or two from your experience. 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
So earlier in the year, when the Grand Prix season started, Formula One, we're talking about here, we had a really interesting conversation with the rule changes and the response, the rule changes that were introduced for the season, and the response from people like Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and I think Lando Norris, all saying they were really unhappy. So some more changes have been made. What are these changes? How big are they, and how might this change the lie of the land as the season, still in its early stages, begins to unfold? When we spoke about it first time round, we engaged with Sudhir Matai, managing editor of doubleapex.co.za, and he's back with us now. Sudhir, welcome. It's great to have you with us. The changes that have been made, as I understand it, it's not a rewrite of the rules, i.e. a new frame, but tweaks within the existing frame. Broadly speaking, what are the most important ones that have been made?
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on air again. Always great chatting with you. As you said and quite clearly point out, this is not a change of the rule set. Mm-hmm. It is very much a slight tweaking of the current regulations. And for the main reason being safety. Mm-hmm. There's been a real problem, and we saw a very visible indication of it at the Japanese Grand Prix, where when a chasing car runs out of battery power, that it suddenly, when a car in front runs out of battery power and a car chasing it still has its full lot of power. So people may or may not know that Formula One cars are hybridized, so they have an electrical component, a battery and electric motor, plus a petrol engine.
Right.
And those work in unison, and they contribute almost equal amounts of power to a total of 1,000 horsepower, 745 odd kilowatts.
Right.
And about half of that is electrical. And these electrical systems are off a battery, a very small battery that charges, recharges, and discharges very quickly. As a result, that discharging of that battery leads to a car suddenly having half of its usual power allotment that it had a few seconds ago. The problem when that happens is that you have this very big discrepancy in speed fluctuating.
Okay, just a little bit of an issue there with Sudhir Matai's line there. Quite a big issue, in fact, because we lost him completely. So what we'll do is we'll just sort that line out and then get him back. And by the way, if you are a Formula One fan and you've got some thoughts on what's going on and the little changes, small changes, but significant ones, it would seem, that are being made, give us a call and let us know. And maybe your thoughts as well on how the season's gone so far. I will get Sudhir's view on that as well when we get him back. Okay, so we've got him back. So, Sudhir, I was about to go to a little break then, but I'm glad to see the line's been sorted. Pick up where you will. You were just talking about batteries and, in particular, the particular danger where somebody is at the end of their limit and somebody with a full charge is coming up behind them.
Yeah, so you get a very big closing speed when a car suddenly runs out of battery power and the other car hasn't run out of battery power. And it can lead to a very dangerous situation. So the rule makers have essentially curtailed some of the battery usage. So they're actually making the cars a little bit slower, hopefully not so much that the fans and the people trackside can actually notice, but we will see a reduction in ultimate lap times. They've also reduced the time that the cars spend recharging their batteries. So this is going to happen in a much quicker space of time on the straights. Hopefully drivers will be complaining less because they'll be spending a lot more time at full throttle, which is where drivers like being at maximum attack all the time.
Yeah. So in terms of addressing the concerns that we explored with you before, do you think that's probably it for the year, and do you think it's adequate?
I don't think it's going to be it for the year. The rule set is so vastly different from previous years that no one knows how it will play out practically, which is why we've seen this unprecedented change only a few races into the season. And Formula One has been very proactive. The FIA, the rule makers, have been proactive in listening to teams and drivers and saying, something bad is going to happen, we have to change it now. And they've made this first change. I think after a few more races, when they've had a variety of tracks and different scenarios to deal with, there may be another change further down the year. Unfortunately, it can't be a quantum leap because the inherent hardware has been designed for the current rule set, and that rule set is supposed to last a few years. I don't think we've seen the last of the changes. I hope that we haven't diluted the racing factor at all, because I think we've had some interesting races to the start of the season, lots of wheel-to-wheel racing, even if some of it's a little bit contrived. But I think the rule makers will be looking closely at how these changes have impacted the racing and perhaps make changes going further into the year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the year. I mean, one of the most remarkable things that's happened, certainly from my view as an outsider, was this moment in the year's second race.
Here comes the history boy, the second youngest driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. Kimi Antonelli wins. A fantastic way to open his account. Antonelli wins the Chinese Grand Prix.
Yes, Kimi. Come on, my son. Yes! Yes, man! We did it, man! Well done there, mate.
So it's been all Mercedes so far. Kimi Antonelli, 2 wins in a row, went on to win in Japan. George Russell winning the first race. I mean, is that pretty much it? Is this Mercedes year, or after 3 Grand Prix, is it way too early to say, Sudhir?
I think it's a bit early to tell. Certainly, it looks like the Mercedes-powered cars have a pace advantage. The McLarens are also looking quite strong. A very poor start to the season have suddenly picked up the pace. Ferrari are quite in the mix. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have been fighting quite strongly at the front of the field. I would hate to see Mercedes walk away with the championship because it completely negates all the changes that were made coming into the season that we didn't want a single team dominating. We wanted more competition from more teams. Should Mercedes-Benz run away with it, I think it'll be unfortunate. We want to see racing, and we want to see racing across teams, not just within a team.
Final thought on Kimi Antonelli, 20 years old. I got my driver's license at 20, so I'm not necessarily a point of comparison. This is pretty remarkable stuff, isn't it?
Kimi is the real deal, and Mercedes-Benz knew this. They saw it very young in his career. We've run an article on our website about his meteoric rise, the very young age at which they brought him into their ranks, because ultimately they wanted him to race in this team. It shouldn't be a surprise at how quick he is. I think his teammate must be very annoyed because he joined the team just after they had won multiple championships.
Yes.
With Lewis Hamilton taking the bulk of those. Gets into the team, they've got a period of, let's say, less than ideal pace, not title contenders. The car comes good, and he's trailing his teammate, his junior teammate, in the rankings. Okay, it's early days, but suddenly George is not the golden boy in the team. He's not going to be, perhaps all his way, even if the car is fast.
Thanks so much, Sudhir Matai, always interesting on Formula One, managing editor of double apex.co.za. Check their site out.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
What is your sense of where the DA is going into the local government elections?
Our focus has to be on those critical Gauteng metros. That is where 18 million South Africans live. It is just the biggest opportunity to demonstrate the DA difference. But obviously there are others as well. We have to win again in Cape Town and in many other Western Cape municipalities. We have great candidates in Nelson Mandela Bay and in eThekwini, and try to maximize our results in all of them.
Jordan Hill-Lewis.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
No one gets fit overnight. It takes discipline, and your money is no different. A Nedbank 32-day notice account helps you build financial strength with up to 7.3% interest and zero maintenance fees. The higher the deposit, the higher the return. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. For more information, go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Volkswagen Vivo is South Africa's favorite car. Let's cross live to Johnny at Barron's VW.
Bill, the energy is unbelievable. Barron's is selling Vivos for just $2,999 per month. Sir, what's going on here?
Everyone's just going crazy for this deal. $2,999? That's incredible. No wonder the country loves the Vivo. Vivo Barron's Vivo.
Available while stocks last at Barron's Woodmead and Barron's Broomer today. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is EWN.
Charges against a road rage shooter may be reinstated in future, and Gareth Mnisi's lawyers urge Madlanga Commission to allow him to explain. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The NPA says it does not currently have sufficient evidence to prosecute a Johannesburg man arrested in connection with a fatal shooting in Emmarentia at the weekend. It says the decision follows a comprehensive assessment of the evidence available at this stage and has concluded that further investigation is necessary to ensure that all relevant facts are fully explored before a final decision on prosecution can be made. The man who had been taken into custody yesterday has now been released. What began as a minor car accident ended in a physical altercation that ended in the death of one of the drivers and a passenger injured after 5 shots were fired. NPA spokesperson Mahaboke Mohlatlole says decisions to prosecute are based on credible and admissible evidence.
After careful consideration of the evidence in the alleged incident, the NPA has decided not to prosecute or proceed with the case pending further investigations. So the matter will be placed at some later stage when we feel satisfied with the evidence that we have.
National Police Commissioner Fannie Masemola has now officially been added to the list of accused in a tender corruption case. Masemola has been charged for failing to prevent the alleged irregular awarding of the multi-million rand Medicare 24 tender. He made a brief appearance in the Pretoria Magistrates Court today on charges linked to that tender. Cat Matlala and 12 other police officers are amongst those who are facing fraud and corruption charges related to the same matter. But Masemola has been charged with contravening the Public Finance Act. Khomotso Modise reports.
I did what I was supposed to do. I stopped the contract, so I don't know why should I be here.
According to General Fannie Masemola, he's innocent because he took action once he was alerted of the dodgy Medicare 24 tender. But the NPA is charging him for more than that. He's been charged for allegedly failing to ensure that Medicare 24 Tshwane was Cat Cat Matlala's company was properly screened and tax compliant and allegedly failing to prevent irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Masemola also faces a charge for not taking disciplinary action against the officials within the police's supply chain management. When the matter returns to the Magistrates Court next month, Masemola will stand by Vusmuzi Cat Matlala and the 12 police officers as co-accused. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria Magistrates Court.
Lawyers for Tshwane's suspended Chief Financial Officer Gareth Mnisi are complaining that he hasn't been given enough time to answer questions before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Mnisi is currently appearing for a third day of testimony at that commission today. He has repeatedly clashed with the evidence leader and commissioners who have complained that he is long-winded when answering questions. Today, his lawyer, Annelien van der Heever, accused the commission of trying to muzzle her client.
We believe that to put to the witness that he's wasting time of the commission by the manner in which he answers is unfair to the witness. And to edit his responses is equally unfair at the end of the day.
But Commission Chairperson Buyiseli Madlanga says Mnisi has repeatedly given long, unnecessary explanations to simple questions. He says the Commission has limited time to complete its work.
I understand where you are coming from, but I will never agree that Mr. Mnisi will be given a free hand to explain even where that is not necessary. But I agree, and I will be the first person that allows him to explain when that is necessary.
We shift our focus to this now. The National Assembly has voted in favour of the Special Appropriation Bill, paving the way for an additional 5.8 billion rand for Rail Agency PRASA's new fleet. The bill will also see an additional 700 million rand going to the Department of Communications and Digital Technology and an extra 2 billion rand for the rebuilding of Parliament. The National Assembly considered the bill and the report by the Appropriations Committee today. Babalondenze has more.
The Special Appropriation Bill enables the state to allocate additional funding for specific and urgent needs that fall outside the normal budget framework. In the 2026 budget, the key items in the bill includes funds for PRASA's new fleet and to help it meet its contractual obligations with manufacturer Gibela. Appropriations Standing Committee Chairperson Musi Maimane says the PRASA funds will be closely monitored.
I want to urge the Minister of Transport to say, Minister of Transport, it is going to be important that we hold PRASA accountable for the execution of this project. There's a significant resource that's going here.
The bill went out to a vote, with most parties voting in favour. Deputy Speaker Annelie Lottreet.
No abstentions, and therefore the report on special appropriation is agreed.
The legislation will now go to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
While in Taiwan, President Lai Ching-te has announced a decision to postpone an official trip to Eswatini. His office says that decision was taken after several countries revoked overflight permits. Those permits are official authorization from a country's civil aviation authority, allowing an aircraft to fly through its airspace without landing. Taiwan claims the countries in question revoked the permits following pressure from Chinese authorities. Lai was due to visit Eswatini this week for the 40th anniversary of King Mswati III's accession and his 58th birthday celebration. Gold is trading at $4,786.19 an ounce. The rand is at 16.34 to the dollar, 22.11 to the pound, 19.25 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $94.81 a barrel.
In Sandton, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Catherine Street between Rivernia Road and Grayston. There's also traffic pressure on Grayston Drive from Sandton Drive until you get to Linden Road. In Alex, there's slow-moving traffic on the N3 South from the Buccleuch interchange until you get to Linksfield.
And in your sport, Premier League action this evening at 9 p.m. has Brighton set to take on Chelsea. Man City will be without Rodri for the next 2 weeks, according to manager Pep Guardiola. And the Norwegian Swimming Federation has backed their Polish counterparts in not wanting to host the international championships as long as Russian Belarusian athletes are allowed to compete.
A cloudy Wednesday with scattered showers and thundershowers in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 14 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 16 and 21, and Vereeniging 15 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The NPA says it does not currently have sufficient evidence to prosecute a Johannesburg man arrested in connection with a fatal shooting in Emmarentia at the weekend.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. Hope you've had a decent Tuesday. If the expected storms, by the way, that are going to hit Gauteng have hit the place where you live already, and it might be further south in Gauteng, areas like Mfuleni, you might be listening to us from the Free State. I'm not sure, by the way, if this weather system is moving in from the south or the east. Don't think generally bad weather comes in from the west, and I don't often remember it coming in from the north. But hey, I am definitely not a person who's an expert on weather at all. So, but if you've got a sense of the severity of the storm already, please do give us a call and let us know. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. We've got good networks to bring you breaking news and bring you information, but there's always more out there that we're not always able to get as quickly as we would like. So, as always, I say, please, if you know something we don't know about, if you have an angle on a story we're covering, but perhaps we might be missing a couple of details or getting the wrong shtick altogether, give us a call on 011 883 0702, as I said, or 072 702 1702. Long session today at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Gareth Mnisi, suspended CFO at the Tshwane Metro, is still being questioned and offering answers. And we will have Tabiso Goba, our EWN colleague who's been watching this closely, joining us shortly to tell us what has happened so far. Asked you about whether you're getting piled up with too many things to do, too much self-improvement, 10,000 steps, 8 hours of sleep, and have you decided to just kind of dial it down a little bit, maybe shake off some of those goals and make life more manageable? If you've got a story about that, please do call us on the numbers I have given you. 11 minutes past 5. Also coming up on 702 Drive tonight, for the first time in a while in South Africa, this man is going to be entertaining fans down in Cape Town.
Till I die, 18 till I die, killing forever, this wishful thinking. Whoever said that must have been drinking. Don't want to grow up, I don't see why. I couldn't care less if time flies by.
Still bringing it at the age of 66, Brian Adams, as I said, down in Cape Town. He's in Gauteng over the weekend and moving to Durban in the days after that. The question we're going to be asking as we play you some music a little bit later in the show, there are rock stars, Motown stars, music stars of every single genre who continue to deliver the business well into the age where some people are just sitting back and enjoying their music and looking for ways to be more relaxed in life. You could say Brian Adams at 66, pretty young. There are rockers in their 70s and 80s who are out there. But the question I have for you, an artist, a band who you've seen late in their careers, who's been the most impressive, who has absolutely made it worth the wait for you, particularly if you were seeing them for the very first time. Give us a call on that a little bit later in the show. Perhaps we're going to be doing that sometime after about 20 to 6. 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's catch up with what's happening out on the roads. I understand the airlines interchange is getting busy. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Elan's interchange, rain and heavy traffic. It's a bad mix. Here's Mongezi Kopo.
That's right, Ndate John. Like you earlier mentioned, that the South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 4 warning for severe thunderstorms and rains across parts of Gauteng. So expect heavy traffic volumes. Drive with care and switch on your headlights and just be safe. Now, we do start on the East Rand, traveling around the Elands interchange. There's queuing traffic on the N3 North, the N12 East and the N3 South. So please approach with caution. Over in Boksburg, there are delays on the N17 West between Rondebolt Road and Osborne Road. That's due to roadworks. In the north of Joburg, leaving Sunning Hill, there are delays on the N1 North between Rivonia Road and the Buccleuch interchange. Peak hour delays, you're looking at about a 10-minute standstill there. In the south of Joburg, in Omonde, outgoing traffic slows on the M1 North before Xavier Street, all the way from Uncle Charles interchange. We still have a number of traffic lights that are still out. We're going to start with some in Tshwane, in Centurion, at Old Johannesburg and Brakfontein. Pointsmen are on duty there, though, so some relief in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu, in the CBD at Thabo Sihume. In Joburg, we have a similar situation in Sandton on Fredman Drive and Rivonia Road, in Harton on Harton Drive and Joe Slovo, and in North Riding at Malibongwe and Mahogany. Now, if there's anything that I've missed or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp message on 072 7021 702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Sitting in a traffic jam is as fun as your alarm accidentally going off at 5 a.m. on a weekend. Mood ruined. But fortunately, the OUTsurance pointsmen are on the roads, easing traffic congestion so everyone gets where they need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With OUTsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. It's also about what happened to your money today, what happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
We all know that hustle, trying and yet battling to reach the right customers. That's how a lot of businesses start, but your marketing budget can only take you so far. With MTN Business, you don't have to rely on just one channel anymore. You can reach your customers wherever they are through WhatsApp marketing, bulk SMSs, and digital tools. So instead of battling, reach the right customers with MTN digital tools. Let's talk shop. Click on mtn.co.za/business or visit an MTN store today. MTN Business, Africa's leading enabler of connectivity and converged solutions.
Everything starts with a choice. For PPS, that choice was clear: to provide graduate professionals with support to create, protect, and accelerate their wealth. Because when graduate professionals support one another, progress multiplies. And together, those choices added up to a record-breaking 6.88 billion Rand in profit share allocated to our members with qualifying life risk products for 2025.
At PPS, we know the whole adds up to more than the sum of its parts. Visit pps.co.za to see how it adds up for you. PPS, success is better shared. PPS is a licensed life insurer, controlling company, and authorized FSP. Profit share allocations depend on PPS's operating and investment performance.
Did you know that you are entitled to buy a new, demo, or used car without a service or a maintenance plan? You can also use an independent workshop for all servicing and maintenance needs without your warranty being automatically voided. Independent workshops are entitled to all technical info and parts needed to work on your vehicle, so you can shop around for the best price and service. Right to Repair. It's your choice. Visit righttorepair.org.za.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, as I mentioned earlier, the Matlala Commission of Inquiry still underway. A marathon session today, it would seem. I don't know if that's because Gareth Mnisi, suspended CFO at the Tshwane Metro, is coming to the end of his time at the Commission. But let's catch up with Thabiso Goba, EWN reporter who's been covering this and a whole series of other people from that metro who've been questioned by the commissioners and evidence leaders as well. Thabiso, very good afternoon to you. All of this, it seems, very much focused not only on Gareth Mnisi's relationship with Sergeant Fannie Nkosi, but certain things he did, which the evidence leader and to a degree the commissioners are suggesting he did in order to benefit Sergeant Nkosi. What's come up in that regard today?
Good afternoon, John. Yes, a very important development has come out today, and this is in regard to a security tender. We've spoken about the security tender, John, to guard critical infrastructure from the municipality. Now, as I said, these tenders, they operate on a 3-year basis. So every 3 years, the municipality ideally has to find new service providers. So the last time this tender was awarded by the municipality was in 2022, and there was supposed to be another one that was awarded in 2025. This is 3 years after. However, the awarding of the tender was later cancelled, and due to the tender being cancelled, the municipality was then forced to obviously renew the current cohort of service providers from 2022. So obviously, because we've spoken a lot about this, this was a very lucrative tender. But now what we've found out, or what the Commission is trying to establish, is that the cancellation of the tender may have been unduly influenced by people who are external. And this is because the WhatsApp chats, they have shown that Sergeant Fannie Nkosi was interacting with a man he only identified as Mpane. And apparently this man used to be close to the late Jonathan Mswazi Msibi, who is the late taxi boss and, a very controversial figure within the business industry here in Gauteng, but also throughout the country. And that man wanted the tender to be cancelled, and he communicated that with Sergeant Fannie Nkosi, and Sergeant Fannie Nkosi then also communicated that with Gareth Mnisi, and then kicked off a series of events that eventually led to the cancellation of the said tender, and in results, the extension of the old tender. Now, I do have to say, John, that obviously Mnisi did deny all these allegations, saying that he wasn't privy to those conversations between Sergeant Nkosi and all these external people, and that the reason he cancelled the tender was due to substantive issues that were raised in the bid adjudication committee, which he is also chairperson of. But there's also another layer to this, John, is that prior to the cancellation of the tender, Sergeant Fannie Nkosi forwarded a leaked report from the bid evaluation committee to Gareth Mnisi. Now, this was important, John, because the bid evaluation committee reports are very confidential,
yes,
and they are kept under lock and key. This is what Mnisi has been testifying, saying that I can't know who's going to be awarded tenders because all documents from the bid evaluation committee, before they get to the bid adjudication committee, they are kept under lock and key. So this was an also interesting development that Sergeant Fannie Nkosi had a leaked letter from the bid evaluation committee, and he sent that letter to Gareth Mnisi. And there was a question that, knowing what you know about these kinds of letters from BECs, and knowing that this was an open tender, why did you not report this matter? Because you kindly have your friend, a very close friend of yours, in possession of a leaked document of an open tender. Do you not then have a duty as the chairperson of the Bid Adjudication Committee, but also the senior manager of the Tshwane municipality, to report this matter. And I just want us now, John, to just take a listen to an exchange between Gareth Mnisi and some of the commissioners regarding this leaked letter that was in the possession of Sergeant Fannie Masemola.
You didn't know it at the time, but directly or indirectly, Sergeant Nkosi must have had a route to the BSc to get into the BEC to get this document.
Well, I'm not sure, and I can't comment on that. I've got no comment on that.
Mr. Mnisi, was this a publicly available document?
The document in its form, no.
So he didn't get it properly. It wasn't shared with him in a permissible way, in a regular way. Surely you must accept that.
I've accepted that, Commissioner, and I've agreed to that.
Yes, that's a simple proposition that's been made to you, that Sergeant Nkosi had possession to a tender-related document that he should not have had. That's a simple proposition that's being made. You must accept that.
Commissioner, I've accepted that. Okay, but if you had listened to the discussions, the inference was that Sergeant Nkosi received it from BEC directly. So
I'm reformulating. Sergeant Nkosi had access to a tender-related document that should not have been in his possession. You accept that?
I have accepted that.
And that suggests, or at least on the face of it, is a corruption already of the tender process. It is being muddied.
Yeah, interesting that he says to Commissioner Baloy, if you had listened to the discussions, but we won't necessarily go into matters of style there. Very telling moment in all of that. At one point, Gareth Mnisi's counsel, Advocate Annelien van den Heever, raised some concerns which Justice Matlala dealt with.
Yes, I think for anyone who has been following Mnisi's testimony over the past 3 days, from Friday, you'll understand that he's a pretty verbose man. He does tend to want to explain every miniature detail of every question, and even if it's a yes or no question, he'll want to explain. And that has unfortunately sort of gotten to the nerves of not just the evidence leaders, but also the commissioners, because as you said, John, they're operating within a limited time. And what happened is that Mnisi's lawyers, they were worried that him not being able to explain or provide sufficient reasons for answers was then sort of muzzling him, and he was being sort of censored at the commission. That's the concern that they raised with the commission. However, Matlala did say that he is a presiding officer and he will preside over this process, but he also has to make sure that as presiding officer that the witness cannot just go on a tangent for 5 or 2 minutes. There has to be a limit within how he answers these questions and the set period of how he answers those questions. So that was basically the matter that was dealt with by the commission chairperson, Mbuyiseni Matlala.
Thanks so much. Thabiso Gorba, EWN reporter at the Matlala Commission. Back to the hearing he goes because it's still going on. 26 minutes past 5.
The Aubrey Masangu Show on 702.
I cover on my show issues of advisory, whether it is legal matters, whether it is financial matters. I cover day-to-day issues as far as current affairs are concerned. I cover the politics of the day and how we as South Africans are interpreting them. My listener is a curious 702 lander. They want to know what are the backstories, the stories behind what we are hearing on the airwaves. They want to understand what drives the different issues that have us talking. What I love about the 702 family and 702 land is the fact that we have 702 landers who are responsive, who are present, who care about their communities and who want to know how they can be a part of the process of making our areas better, but also our country better. And that for me is a great privilege. I am totally indebted to the providence out there to be talking to these people on a daily basis.
The Aubrey Masangu Show, weekdays from 8 to midnight.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an unmistakable rhythm that brings us all together. In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi to unite the whole of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babi Zebonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going on a walk through the iconic Joburg CBD, and we want you to join us and be part of something special. Entries open soon. In the meantime, stay tuned to 702. Get ready for 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babi Zebonke. More on primemediaplus.com.
That's Kefense, before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Payroll, VAT, stock arriving before money does, public holidays, late payments, that one expense you didn't plan for. Sound familiar? It's not you. It's just business. Bridgement gives you a cash flow safety net for when timing gets in the way. Find out more at bridgement.com.
Bridgement. Business funding simplified.
EWN Business.
The latest from the markets. Stephen Curtis, welcome back.
Thanks very much indeed, John. Good afternoon. Yeah, sort of one of those difficult days where everyone's really waiting to see what's going to be happening in the US. The US President Donald Trump saying that he does not really feel like extending the ceasefire with Iran. At the same time, US markets still quite optimistic because of AI optimism seems to be reasserting itself. Oil prices also a little bit higher. They're up actually sort of $3 or so on the day so far. As a result, the JSE All Share is down 1.33% at the end of the day, 118,412 points. Financials are down a third, industrials are down 0.63, but resources down 3%. Interesting, John, a little bit of growth, it seems, in some of the consumer shares. I think investors really looking at shares where people are going to have to stay invested. So, Pan-African Resources down 5.5%, Goldfields, Implats, DLD Gold, all down quite strongly. Goldfields down nearly 4.7%. Anglo Gold down 3.42% as well. And Harmony and Sibanye also down by around 3%. Now, Elferman, they're up nearly 3%. And then Boxers up 2.67%. While Woolies and Spar are also up. Spar's up nearly 2%, in fact. Tungela in the energy space, they're up 2.63%. And Bytes is up 1.65%, while Vodacom is up nearly 2% as well on the day. We'll have to keep communicating no matter what happens in the Middle East. Afrimat having a very strange day. They released a trading statement. This is the concrete, iron and coal producers. So their trading statement said they'd lost money during the second half, and there was a massive reaction. Their shares lost 14%. They came back quite strongly towards the end of the day. Part of their problem is lower iron ore demand from ArcelorMittal, which used to be a main customer of theirs. And then in the US, a lot of optimism still around AI, although that's turning a little bit as I think Trump's comments may be sinking in. So the Dow Jones is up 0.03, the Nasdaq is down 0.27, the S&P 500 down 0.28. Interesting story in the Nasdaq, by the way, John. I mean, Apple announcing overnight they're changing their CEO. Tim Cook is leaving. They've done it so well that their share price hardly moved on the announcement, and that really is a good sort of indication, a good way of how to do things if you do have to make changes. The gold price is still a little bit weaker, really. It's at $4,735.57 an ounce. Platinum, $2,053.60. Brent crude, higher, $96.71. The rand losing a little in the last hour too, 16.42 to the dollar, 19.30 to the euro, 22.19 to the British pound. On the Money Show tonight, John, you know your bank keeps telling you how good they are, right?
Yes,
all
indeed.
the time, constantly. Why are you, John, I mean, this is a presumption, still so frustrated with them? We'll actually speak, are you?
No,
Yes?
not particularly.
Oh, okay. Well, lots of other people are.
Yes, yes.
We will speak to Professor Adri Shearder, the head of the industry chair in customer experience at the University of Pretoria. What a fascinating job that must be, the customer experience. Now, we'll talk about that tonight. SAA getting a bit of a public spanking from the Auditor General in Parliament about its accounts. We will also talk about where our fuel is beginning to come from. And last night I made a comment about the city of Joburg. You know, the JSE suspended trading in their bonds. Their financial report hasn't been released. And I said, we kind of need to know more. Well, the city of Joburg actually got in touch with us, said, yes, we'll give you more. So tonight we're speaking to Tsepo Makola, the acting city manager at the city of Johannesburg. I'm really looking forward to that. Stephen Krutis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Lots to look forward to on the Money Show between 6 and 8, 27 minutes now to 6 o'clock. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Gauteng motorists are being warned to remain vigilant as unstable weather conditions settle in the province from today and are expected to persist into the rest of the week. Joburg Metro Police say the city may experience severe thunderstorms, persistent heavy rain and localized flooding. Meanwhile, Tshwane Emergency Services has also warned communities to exercise caution after a level 4 warning for severe thunderstorms was issued by the South African Weather Service. Parts of the country have experienced inclement weather conditions that started over the past weekend. JMPD spokesperson Xolani Fihla has cautioned motorists against crossing bridges or where water is flowing over the surface.
Motorists are reminded that even shallow-looking water can have enough force to sweep a vehicle off the road. We strongly encourage the public to stay informed by monitoring real-time traffic updates and official weather alerts to ensure safer travel within the city and surrounding areas.
Police say Operation Prosper is making progress in removing illegal firearms from the streets of the Western Cape. Authorities have reported several arrests since the beginning of this week, including suspects found in possession of firearms as well as drugs. Operation Prosper is a joint effort between the SANDF, police and metro officers targeting crime hotspots in the Western Cape, Eastern Cape as well as Gauteng. Western Cape Police spokesperson Frederick van Wyk says one of the biggest breakthroughs came yesterday when drugs worth more than 2.7 million rand was seized after a vehicle was stopped in Delft.
Further investigations led them to a storage facility in Stikland in Bellville. At the facility, the members found 46 packs containing 1,000 Mandrax tablets each and a total of 46,000 units of Mandrax tablets. The suspect was arrested and will appear in the Bellville Magistrates Court once charged.
Operations are back to normal at Kruger National Park after a fire broke out earlier today. The blaze was located at Lower Sabi Rest Camp, damaging the retail shop. Rangers and staff quickly contained it before it could spread. South African National Parks says accommodation is unaffected and the camp is fully booked for the next 2 long weekends. Ntutu Zelonene reports.
Activities like guided game drives and walks are continuing as normal at the Kruger National Park following today's fire. However, guests are advised to stock up on supplies before arriving. Basic items like wood and ice are also available at nearby camps that were not affected. Sandpark says the restaurant was not damaged but remains closed due to fire-related power cuts. Park management says temporary retail, food and beverage services will be set up as soon as possible. Guests are urged to avoid the affected area while investigations into the cause of the fire continue. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
A cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Lows of between 14 and 16 degrees and highs of between 20 and 21.
There's still that weather warning for severe thunderstorms across Gauteng, so please drive carefully on the roads. In Pretoria, heavy traffic on Sefako-Mahato Drive. That's travelling east through the N1 highway towards Moloto Road. In Centurion, outgoing traffic slows on the N14 north just after the R55 Pretoria West exit.
The top story in EWN. Gauteng motorists are warned to remain vigilant as unstable weather conditions settle in the province from today and are expected to persist into the rest of the week.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We've got a top cop in the dock. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Indeed, as you say, this has been going on for a very long time. It's elements of both providing protection on the one hand to corrupt cops, but I think we then see not moving beyond a kind of protection for political ends to a kind of a tolerance of corruption because it meets their own political ends. And then I think what we're seeing increasingly as well is an actual involvement between political elites, organized crime networks and leadership of the SAPs in corruption.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The Black Hole Symphony returns to the Linda Auditorium on Thursday and Friday after last year's sold-out season. The Johannesburg Philharmonic joins Universe on stage to present a 32-piece orchestral experience of black holes. 6 movements, each one a unique black hole story, from their inception to their role in our ultimate survival as a human species. Universe on Stage is reshaping live entertainment, merging science, music, and storytelling that connects audiences to the wonders of the cosmos. The Black Hole Symphony opens at the Linda Auditorium on Thursday night, and on Saturday there are 2 performances in the afternoon and another in the evening. For more details and to book tickets, go to Web Tickets and look for the Black Hole Symphony.
Attention all shoppers.
Our supermarket shelves are full of unhealthy food. It's often hard for me to know which foods are good for my family. The information on packaged food is complicated and hard to understand. I wish we had easy-to-understand warning labels on foods high in salt, sugar, and saturated fat. We have the right to know what's in our food. Support front-of-package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Jozi, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
I'm Dr. John. I actually don't agree that it should be a beginning of the year thing, but it should be a lifestyle, because what it could not do in December, you're definitely not going to be able to do it in January. As for me, I have developed a lifestyle that it works, you know. At the beginning it's difficult, definitely, but over time it's part of who you are. I run 5-6 times a week. If I'm not running, I'm at the gym. Almost every day I start there. I'm a mother. I drop kids at school at 7:30. I'm at work. I eat healthy almost every single day. I'm a single parent. I'm a very busy person at work where I work. But I make it work, and I have other things that I do on the side. I honestly feel like we had so much time in our hand. It's all about planning.
Hi, John. Interestingly, I discovered the other day that the 10,000 steps a day thing comes from a marketing campaign for some other device that was launched at the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo. And also 8 liters of water a day is actually really, really bad for you. You lose way too much salt. So, yes, I think perhaps before we go drastically mad, do some research.
Yeah, research. The problem is, of course, you can find a point of view on just about anything on the internet. It's a question of not just doing the research, but enhancing your own information filters so you can sort out what works for you and what might actually be true, which is always a good start. 19 minutes now to 6 o'clock.
EWN Sport.
IPL cricket underway at the moment. Anthony Teixeira with an update on the match underway and some other news as well. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, John. We will start there where we've seen a blitzing from Abhishek Sharma and his Sunrisers Hyderabad after Delhi Capitals sent them to bat in the day's IPL action. He's since gone on to score 130 off of 66 deliveries with the last over still to come. It's 222 for the loss of 2 with those 6 balls left. Klaasen also there at the crease on 22 off of 9 deliveries. In the football world, the Premier League action at 9 p.m. will have Brighton hosting Chelsea. Pressure has been growing for Liam Rosenior to get results. Chelsea have failed to score in 5 of their last 6 games, having lost 4 on the bounce and now having the UEFA Champions League qualification hopes hanging on by a thread.
We have to win. That's what this club demands, rightfully so. That's what the fans expect. Yeah, so for me, it's about winning games of football. It's what football's about. You can't speak about the long term if you're not doing a job in the short term. And being really respectfully honest here, we haven't done well enough in recent games. That needs to change. And that's on my shoulders as the head coach of this team.
Premier League title contenders Man City will be without Rodri for their clash against Burnley tomorrow evening. Pep Guardiola confirming that the injury which saw him taken off in their win against Arsenal on Sunday will see him out for at least 2 weeks.
I think for tomorrow we'll not be ready, and we'll see the next games, semi-final against Southampton or in 12-13 days against Everton.
And the Norwegian Swimming Federation has joined the Polish counterparts in not wanting to host the international championship as long as the Russian and Belarusian athletes are allowed to compete. World Aquatics have permitted swimmers from those countries to compete at their events under their flags using their anthems and uniforms since April 14th. This is after the ban following Russia's 2022 invasion of the Ukraine was dropped and they were resumed their full membership rights. Norway calling for a broader regional boycott as well as to seek further support from other federations. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Thanks, Anthony. 16 minutes to 6. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. N1 in the Northcliffe area, bumper to bumper. Just one of the problems out there is bad weather closes in. Here's Mongezi Koko.
That's right, Ndate John. You're looking at a delay of about 8 minutes if you are in that area traveling between Judges Avenue and the N1. We're also receiving reports of an active incident that's been reported on the N1 North after the N17 on-ramp in Randburg. Emergency services have been notified. We're looking at possible road closures. Alternative routes will be provided once we can establish when the scene is going to be cleared and which sections are blocked. In the Joburg CBD, traffic is heavily backed up on the M1 South from Killarney Benz to the double-decker interchange. In Edenvale, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 West from Edenvale Road to the Glulies interchange. Leaving Irene heading towards Tembisa, there is a lot of congestion on the R21 South from Nelme Pierce Drive to Olifantsfontein Road. We've got a number of traffic lights that are out in Randpark Ridge at Besnedier Drive and CR Swart, in North Riding at Malibongwe Drive and Vetkopen and Douglasdale at Vetkopen and Douglas Drive, in Bryanston at Winnie Mandela and Stone. In Tshwane, we've got traffic lights out in Centurion at the N1 and John Foster Drive, and in the CBD at Old Johannesburg and Vida Road. If there's anything that I've missed or you'd like to report any traffic problems, you can do so by sending us a WhatsApp message on 072 7021 702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 50 was, as per my last email, too passive-aggressive. Oh, the torture. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabodja.
702 Afternoons is about all things in life, from music to inspiration. We get an opportunity to explore science, mental health, food. I almost feel like there's nothing we don't do on my show. One of the things I absolutely love about 702 Land and the 702 family is that we are so sharing. We share tears, laughs, smiles. We share in the amazing times and celebrate together as well. We have a range of topics, but when it comes to what we do cover on the show, absolutely everything. My listener is somebody who wants to grow, evolve, develop. They're empathetic, they are loving, they are so special that even when they don't have, they come through and share, and more importantly, they know how to walk the talk.
702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabodja. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
So I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, you may have been listening then, but I'll repeat it now if you weren't, that Brian Adams, at the age of 66 and going very, very strong indeed, is performing in Cape Town tonight, the beginning of his South African tour, and he'll be in Gauteng over the weekend. Perhaps you're going. If you've got tickets, you may want to drop me a note and tell me exactly why you're looking forward to it. There's another big name, but also a well-established name, I think it's fair to say, coming to South Africa in May. And the people who made this song actually formed themselves as a band 49 years ago. Take a listen. Don't You Want Me Baby, the Human League, a band from Sheffield, as I say, formed in 1977. Well, Don't You Want Me Baby, it seems a lot of people still do because they continue to tour and they're coming here in May. All of this is prompting us to ask this question. Many of you will have seen bands that have been legendary from the 60s, 70s, and then when 60 and 70 becomes their age and not the decade, they're still going strong, and that's probably true of 80 as well. So who did you see late in their career? And was it worth it? Were they as great as you expected them to be? And had they changed in any way from the band or the artist that you fell in love with when you were both a whole lot younger? Stories to tell, I'm sure. Let's hear yours on 072 702 1702.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
What is your sense of where the DA is going into the local government elections?
Our focus has to be on those critical Gauteng metros. That is where 18 million South Africans live. It is just the biggest opportunity to demonstrate the DA difference. But obviously there are others as well. We have to win again in Cape Town and in many other Western Cape municipalities. We have great candidates in Nelson Mandela Bay and in eThekwini, and try to maximize our results in all of them.
Jordan Hill-Lewis.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
That's Liesel, before she got naked. Liesel checked her insurance premium and got angrier than the time a teenager called her Tani. So Liesel got naked and got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds, all on the Naked app. There we go, Liesel. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
How's that? I dedicate this song to my bro, Rody. You never ask questions, okay? You just took me in, but you may be a 1999 occasional chair to everyone else, Broadster, but you make me feel like $1 million, not Zim dollars. The song's called We Belong Together.
Warning, you may love everything at DecoFern with incredible deals right now on the best value furniture. Exclusive to your local DecoFern or decofurnsa.co.za.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and team. Alex here in Glen Hazel. So I'll tell you a story, man. So 2024, I'm scheduled to go run the Cape Town Marathon. Entries sorted, flights booked, hotel booked, and then comes an announcement that Benning Spear, or known as Winston Rodney, is coming to play in South Africa. Initially, there were 2 shows scheduled, one in Cape Town and one here. And I said, okay, I'm going to see him after I run the marathon. But then that show in Cape Town was cancelled, and there's only going to be one show in Johannesburg, and on the night before my marathon. So what did I do? I forwent my marathon entry, lost my hotel booking, lost my flight booking, and went to a Benning Spear show. It was the best thing I ever did. No regrets at all. None. The guy is 85, and I knew this would probably be the last time I'll probably see him alive. It was the first time anyway, so first and last. Yeah, that's my story. Cheers, yeah, bye.
Hi, John. Speaking of artists that one may have seen later in their careers, for me, that would be Lionel Richie. I've seen Bryan Adams, but Lionel Richie, oh my goodness, he is a superstar. That was the very best concert I've ever been to, in my opinion. I was on my feet the whole entire time, and he absolutely needs to come back ASAP. Great show as usual. Thank you. Bye.
Well, my friends, the time has come. Raise the roof and have some fun. Throw away the work to be done. Let the music play on. Everybody sing, everybody dance. Lose yourself in wild romance. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta, forever. Come on and sing along. We're going to party, caramba, fiesta.
Lionel Richie, he will be 77 in June this year, still bringing the very, very, very best. It was so hard to choose one of his songs, actually, when we got a Lionel Richie message. Where do you start? But I guess he's still doing it all night long, so that seems to be appropriate. Annie, who says she's going nowhere slowly on the N1 at Linwood. Hope it's improved since you sent the message. Annie says, I was fortunate to see Neil Diamond, Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen, all presumably well advanced in their career, and says they were absolutely amazing. More voice notes.
Hi, John. Who I watched was Tevin Campbell at Carnival City, and he was on one of the breakfast shows, and they had asked him to sing a song, and he respectfully declined. And so I was a little bit skeptical when we got to the show, but boy, oh boy, that voice was still as amazing. And what an amazing show. Shivers here in Boxburg.
Hi, good evening, John. Andre here from Edenvale. Of course, Mick Jagger comes to mind when you're talking about an aged musician. I think this guy's been singing for the last 250 years or so. But guys that I actually have seen, I've never seen Mick Jagger on stage, but Jonathan Butler comes to mind. He's still traveling worldwide and regular visitor locally. And Michael Franks, I was amazed. I mean, I've been listening to Michael Franks since the 70s, and to have actually seen him just a couple of years ago. I mean, the guy's gone extremely white, and he sings, his turn of phrase is still excellent.
Daddy plays the ashtray. Baby starts to cry. Lady wants to know the reason why. Daddy's just like Coltrane. Baby's just like Miles. Lady's just like Ellen when she smiles. Lady wants to know.
Michael Franks will be 82 in September. Mick Jagger will be 83 in July. The Rolling Stones, by the way, had a whole 2026 European tour planned. Some of the dates, I think, on that were tentative, but Keith Richards not sure if he wants to go. Have we seen the last of the Rolling Stones? Who knows? Julia has seen these guys in their prime, in their late prime. Tom Jones, she mentions, and Robbie Williams as well. Yeah, and reference to Abdullah Ibrahim, who apparently has performed for the very, very last time. And that would have been, I'm just trying to think, at the age of 91, Abdullah Ibrahim was at the Cape Town Jazz Festival, I think, in March. 702 Drive, great artists you saw late in life?
Hi, John. Lucretia here. The group I saw in their later years in life was Metallica when they were last year in South Africa. Still a great band. I was disappointed not by them, but by the fact that I didn't know all their new music. So they were still great, but yeah, had they played more of their older music, I would have enjoyed it more.
Metallica, Nothing Else Matters, a song from 10 years into what has been a 45-year career for that band from LA. So that's it for 702 Drive. We've loved having you with us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Please do stay tuned to 702. Lots of great radio ahead. I'm John Perlman. Good night.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, engineered for how Africa trades. That's how invested Absa is in your story. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the Auditor General publicly spanks SAA over its accounts as more questions emerge about its true financial position. Why, if your bank keeps telling you it's so good, you're still so frustrated with it? As Donald Trump says he's not keen on extending the ceasefire